Yahoo! We're live! It's hard to believe, but it is true. So, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for your patience in terms of us getting the planets aligned with all of the jokes for Gatorade, etc. And by the way, just so you know, this is a live production, as you may have already noticed and figured out. And the great news about a live production is that we get to interact live, I get to teach, we get to have this workshop experience, which is fantastic and amazing. And sometimes the bad news about live is it's live and things go crazy. So first and foremost, I want to do a quick shout out to my team here from Measurable Genius and my team from Be Live in New York, who, weirdness with internet bandwidth was playing at odds with our intent to communicate. But we have it going on, we have it going on now. So welcome to the Joint Venture Success Roadmap. And what we have coming up for you today is something that I'm pretty pleased and pretty proud of, which is this. We are going to spend time together learning the fundamentals of joint ventures, which, by the way, love the questions that came that came through already. We have a bunch of other questions from our JVology Global Lounge and other pieces that we will assist with. But please know that my computer here, that is for the purposes of communication with you. So you type it in, I'll do my best to respond, and of course that's going to be around how all this goes. So what's going to transpire, just so you have a good picture about what this is that we have basically 3 one-hour segments of teaching, of training, of interaction to support you to get your joint ventures positioned, launched, and profitable quickly. And how that's going to go is I'm going to teach you some content. We're going to answer some Q&A. We have some guests and some case studies that are going to drop in through Zoom. And we're going to share with you everything we possibly can. In addition to that, I want to let you know that I have an incredible offer for you. It is, I think, one of the most comprehensive free offers I have ever made in my life. And just notice I'm telling you right now, it's free. F-R-E-E. Free. One of my favorite sounds in the world. So what I want you to understand is this, is that it is my intention to contribute value to you. One of the things that we're going to teach about. It is my intention to make a contribution to you and your business, and I'm going to give you something that's going to make a difference, big picture in your life. So what I want you to understand is this, is that Jane Powers, you are my hero. Hello, Donna. Hello, Fizz. Good to see you. It's been a long time since we've connected. Hello, Alexander. Kara. Okay, beautiful. See you all there. And by the way, gang, I want you to do something. Marshall Stevenson, I was just here. Whoa. I don't know if I can do this. No, it's not. Well, it doesn't work. I'm wearing the pair of socks that arrived this morning in my mailbox from your company, which, by the way, we can do a joint venture. We just got to talk more about that. And Brad, if you're trying to chat with me, that's not going to be too easy for me at this stage of the game. So on that note, gang, what I want you to understand is this. The reason that you should invest the next couple of hours of your life here is this, is that just a little while ago, in fact about 3 years ago, we launched a brand, Mastermind to Millions, which many of you are familiar with, Mastermind to Millions, and Mastermind to Millions went from zero. It had 0 sales. It fundamentally did not even exist. And it went from there to $2.4 million in about 14 months. Now, I want you to understand this, is that accomplishment is something that I'm incredibly proud of. But I need to contextualize that accomplishment so this makes some sense to you. So many of you, I see like Andrea on the line here, who's done the courses from Personal Best Seminars way back in the day. But I want to put this in perspective, which is this. The first time that I had started a business from scratch and actually grew it to past 7 figures, it was a company called Personal Best Seminars. We did personal and professional transformation programs. That company still exists actually under the brand called Creators Code. But it took me 15 years, please hear this, 15 years to go from 0 to over 7 figures in sales. Now, the key difference between doing it in 15 years and 14 months was joint ventures, was really beginning to understand how to weave these pieces together. So I have assisted at this stage of the game, quite literally, thousands and thousands and thousands of people to utilize joint ventures to scale their business, and I can assist you to do it as well. Now, here's the thing about this. Why is this so important? Well, here's why it's so important, and it's not particularly complex, my friends. Why it's so important is this, is that you are working far too hard for too little. And by the way, we're going to do a little quiz and a little exercise and activity a little later on where I'm going to actually ask you to rate and actually, put some, let's call it, some meat to that statement, because I don't throw it away. I don't throw that statement around lightly by any stretch of the imagination. The amount of failure that small business owners face is daunting. It's heartbreaking. Frankly, it's ridiculous. And a bunch of that is created by our desire to do it our own way, to reinvent the wheel, because our wheel will be smoother, rounder, better. And I just want you to hang out this afternoon, and I want you to engage and talk with me on the chat, interact with me in some way, shape, or form, and we will do our very, very best to create a ton of value for you. Because there is an easier way. There is a faster way. There is a way for you to quite literally make more money working less. I'm going to say that again, to make more money working less. So here's what I want you to understand is this. Joint ventures are about leverage, and joint ventures are about relationships. And what we're going to do is this, just take 2 steps back and think about this for a moment. Yeah, I was just looking at notes here for a second. Now he's pointing at me. So if you're having any challenges, gang, there, what you can do is simply refresh your page and see if that helps, because sometimes that's a little bit of drag on your end. And if not, just focus on the message, not so much the lips and the audio. Okay, just focus on the message. It will make a monumental difference at all. And so, gang, going back to this idea about leverage. Think of it this way. Almost every program, if you're familiar with internet marketing in any way, shape, or form, every single program is some version of this. It's like attract a client, charge a client more, find more clients, convert a client. It's like there's only so many ways you can say that. But here's the message I would like you to consider, which is this, is that finding one client at a time is probably a waste of your time. Finding one client at a time probably isn't the best use of leverage and wisdom. Why not find one JV partner at a time, and that JV partner spits out client after client after client after client after client every single week, every single month, every single year, so long as you can keep that relationship intact and working together, okay? Intact and working together. Now, last thing I want to say about this is as we go through this, we should probably start right at the very beginning with what is a joint venture. So I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint for a brief moment here, and if I'm ready to have that popped up when you are, you just let me know, brother, when it's good. And let's just define what a joint venture is. So we're talking about exactly the same thing at exactly the same time and all of those pieces. So my definition of a joint venture is this. It is a collaboration of 2 or more people or organizations working together towards a joint goal. Do not underestimate the joint goal. Now, in our space, how we view it and how we teach it and how we do our very best to frame and to build joint ventures is that a joint venture must benefit 3 people. Number 1, the end user. This has to be customer or prospect centric. And I want you to understand something, and we're going to talk about it a lot in our 3rd segment in terms of making sure that we become our client's trusted advisor. The end user comes first. Okay? This is not about foisting a bunch of crap on our clients that doesn't fit, that isn't valuable, that isn't for them. This is about meeting their needs. The next is this. It has got to benefit our joint venture partner. If it doesn't benefit our joint venture partner, there is absolutely no reason to do it. None, not a zippo. And of course, then 3rd and finally, ourselves. So I like to think about this as a win-win-win experience. And we can turn that off now. Just I want to make sure we are all on the same page here. And when we get this win-win-win experience in line, amazing things happen. Now, I have to address something else that is important right out of the gate in terms of joint ventures, is time and again, I get people say stuff like this. Well, that's all well and fine for the internet marketing, where you can send a link and where there's information products and all the rest of it, but JVs don't really work in the bricks and mortar of the tangible world. And to that I say BS. That is absolutely not true. In fact, my first guest, Stuart, is going to give us some very specific examples of that. And in fact, he's going to be sharing at our upcoming events, JVology Live and the JVology Summit, some of the ways in which he builds JVs with his pharmacy business, when he had it, with real estate, with education, with a community that he has built in Phoenix. So it can work in a multitude of different ways. I do not want any of you to, box this into, oh, that's affiliate marketing, or oh, that's online marketing. That's simply not true. All right. I'm just going to take a quick peek here, make sure I haven't missed anything. Ooh, I like that. Find one JV partner at a time instead of one client at a time. Oh, yes. And Sarah, it makes such a monumental difference. And that is the difference. And I want to put like dollars and cents to this. That is the difference between taking 15 years. We were looking for one client at a time, fundamentally. 15 years to break 7 figures and then doing it in 14 months. Okay, so that is what we're talking about. The leverage and the scale is monumentally much more powerful. Okie dokie. So one of the things I want you to understand as well, I'm going to pull up one other quick site here, is that when I say that we have done pretty well in JVs, I mean we have done pretty well. And JVology Live, jvology.com/partner. So I'm just going to bring up a quick page so that you get a sense of, a little bit more about the why me. And, oh, JVology, just give me a second. That's not the right page. You know what, we were doing tech stuff and I did not get this. Do that one more time. I clicked the wrong button. JVology. That autofill is really great when it works, and then not so great when I don't want it that way. All right, here we go. Yeah, and if you could share this screen with me for a brief moment. This is what we call our partner page for our JVology brand. But I want to just give you an idea of our current and past partners. So we have worked with some of the absolute best in the industry, from Alex Mandossian to Bill Barron to David Bayer to Dov Barron. Iman is one of my dearest favorite friends under the universe. Like, he's amazing. Gina Gabellini, Jane Powers, Josh Turner, Lisa Sasevich, Rich Gurman, Milana, Ryan Levesque, Steve Olsher, like both of those are New York Times bestselling list authors, Ted McGrath, Tony Pennells. I mean, the point that I want to make out of this is this. When we are working on this leverage piece, what we've got to do is to think differently, which is what I want to inspire you to do here today, is to think differently. Because the one at a time enrollment process for a client changes everything when we can get to the one JV partner, one great JV partner with a list of, and where did Justin, Justin. So Justin is a great example, is that Justin supported every single one of our launches right from the get-go, and I'll tell you how and why he did that in segment 2. And quite literally, he alone in 3 launches became our single greatest partner. All you need is one great partner that could transform your business and quite literally add hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to your bottom line. So if I can do it, you can do it, and I will show you how. I give you my word. Okay, gang. So we'll turn that off now, and we will get back to, let's go back here. We will get back to our little chat window so I can keep track of you guys. Okay. Live workshop. Wow, Jane M. Powers, she rocks. She does Jane M. Powers, and that, by the way, I told you this, but I'm going to tell everybody else this as well, which is my oldest has now renamed you. You are not Jane M. Powers, you are Jane Power Ranger. And I think that you're more powerful than all the other ones, just to be perfectly frank. Okay, I want to play a quick little video for you, and this will be that video that is joint venture Y that Ian did for us. And this is, I want you to help set the tone while this goes on, and I get set up to teach you a little segment right after this. But watch this video, because it invites you to open your heart, open your mind, open your soul to truly doing joint ventures. Go to town.
I think it's getting past the idea of not knowing what a joint venture is. That's the roadblock right there. It's like, what is this joint venture thing?
But I didn't know you could actually collaborate and make money doing it. I thought it was just something you got together to do with friends.
But like, if you honestly knew what that meant, you'd open arms, grab around it, and like say, yes, this is for me. I need more of this all the time.
I saw JVology in my brain as a giant trade show.
I thought it was going to be about studying and learning what joint ventures are.
And I could almost see my division of table, conference. And it wasn't like that at all.
I had no idea it was going to be this level of sophistication.
People think that joint ventures are transactional, and it oftentimes comes across feeling of what can you do for me?
When I discovered Jay and what he was doing with JVology, I was like, this is a perfect place to meet people out to, make a difference.
I mean, it was a 360 sharing of ideas and guidance and topics and what I'm doing wrong because somebody else is doing the same thing wrong as I am. And even though they may be ahead of me, we all have the same problems. And that was an epiphany. I mean, it was really a growth process that I needed.
A joint venture is a possibility to work with another human being to expand our worlds and the worlds of our clients at the same time.
Where highly successful joint venture partners and relationship happen is like, what can I give you? How can I help you? How can I support you? And when I come from that place, then it's very easy for it to be reciprocated in some way when the time comes for me to ask.
All right, we're back, and we are making a bold move by shooting part of our live stream outside. Now, just so you know, we are in Calgary, Canada, and Calgary, Canada, there's a saying here that says, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. So yes, it is hot, it is sunny, it is beautiful. Odds are reasonably strong that before the live stream is over, it'll be snowing. So just hang out to see what's going to transpire. So here's what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about the marginally successful but cash poor entrepreneur. And this is a trap that an inordinate number of entrepreneurs are in. And this is the very reason why I implore each and every one of you to make a commitment today to get yourself engaged in joint ventures, to build scale and leverage in your business through joint ventures. And you're going to see yourself in this model in a moment here. And I'm going to tape this down because, the other part about Calgary is that it could equally not be a snowstorm, it could be a hurricane. So the marginally successful but cash poor entrepreneur follows a very particular pattern. And I'm going to do this, I want you to understand that this scale here, and this of course is higher, and this of course is longer, this scale is output or energy, okay? Output or energy, and this is time. Now, we're going to use the blue one here as you as the entrepreneur. Now, you as the entrepreneur, and by the way, this is not drawn precisely to scale. You as the entrepreneur, at the beginning of your business, you put an inordinate amount of energy into your business. Like, it is high. And you hope, you pray, depending upon how well you've designed your business, how well you're working, you hope and pray that your energy that you are putting into that particular business isn't going to have to stay high forever, that it is ultimately going to drop at some stage of the game, and in most cases, level off. In most cases, if you do it well, probably somewhere between the 4 to 6 range. By the way, it could be better than that, but I'll just draw this out first. Okay? So this is the energy that you are putting in. Now, here's what's interesting. While this is happening, we also have this line here. And this line here, this is sales and profitability. So this is, I'm just going to call this, for lack of a better term, your work/input. And I should just make a point of this, is that most entrepreneurs, let's be clear about this, most entrepreneurs steal resources from other aspects of their life to be able to work this hard at the beginning of their business. They steal resources from the time they spent on their health. They steal resources from the time they spend with their family. They steal resources by putting money on their credit card. They steal resources by not paying for health care. They steal resources from other areas to even make this possible. But let's make no mistake about it, it is not freaking sustainable. It's not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. Now, down here, let's get back to the whole reason we're doing this, is that we have this vision. We have this vision that we are going to create this thing called sales and profitability and contribution and all those pieces. So let's start here. So let's just say that your sales are consistently growing, and again, this is not to scale, and I'm just going to level that off here. Now, in an ideal world, is that, let's put sales, profit. Okay. And we hope that it's going to turn out this way, in that our output of sales and profit is going to be like super, super high, and our input and the work that we have to do is going to start high, but it's going to level off and it's going to make some sense and it'll be okay. Now, let's just look at some of the stages that we as entrepreneurs go through. The stages are incredibly important. So this area here, This is where we are working our butt off, where we are quite literally borrowing, stealing resources from other aspects of our life to even give this entrepreneurial venture a snowball's chance in you know what. Now this is hard. This is where people quit. This is where people are frustrated. This is where people don't know what to do. This is where people try things. This is where people buy dumb programs that don't have any frickin', they have no, how do I put this? They buy fantasy programs that don't match their stage of development, hoping that it's going to make a difference, and it actually complicates and exacerbates the problem. So this is a tough spot. But there comes a time, and that time is where we begin to say, oh, I don't have to work quite as hard. Oh, I can get back to the gym because we're starting to make a little bit more money, and it keeps going up and it keeps going up and it keeps going up and it keeps going up. Now, here's the thing. This area here, before this cross, this area here is what I call, I'll put it in red because you need to be like incredibly, you need to be so vigilant and aware of this. This is the trap. And here's what the trap sounds like. So we're on exactly the same page. It's like, hey, I'm starting to make some money. Hey, I've got a little bit of success. Hey, my family's now accepted that this is a real thing. I didn't just make it up. Hey, this is going to be fantastic. But I'm not quite making enough money. I can go to the gym, but I'm not having the holidays with the family. I can pay for the mortgage, but I can't upgrade the car. I'm still watching my pennies. I can't quit and say it didn't work because it is working. I have clients that are relying on me. But the truth is, I have not much money. And this is the trap that most entrepreneurs get themselves into, which is they are marginally successful but cash poor. And I want you to, like, honest to goodness, I want you just to check in. Is that true for you? Is it true for you? It's like, yes, I've built a business that actually works. Yes, I have clients that love what I do. Yes, that's all great, but I'm not experiencing the freedom that I desire. But I don't have the liquid cash in the account. But my credit cards I'm paying interest on. But I don't live in the home that I want. I don't drive the car that I want. I don't have the health, the time to take care of my body the way I want. You insert the blanks. You know what I'm talking about. This spot is freaking dangerous because two things happen. It is inspiring enough to keep going, but generally speaking, we tap ourselves out so there's no real change. And one of the reasons I want you to work today on this particular process is I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of you on the line are stuck in here in some way, shape, or form. We're going to do a quiz in a moment or two to find out if that's true or not. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story that contextualizes a little bit of what transpires here. So there's a story, the Deep South. There's an elderly gentleman goes to visit his friend, who's also an elderly gentleman. And they're sitting out on the deck. And they're sitting in their rocking chairs, having a little visit, drinking a little lemonade in the sun. And there's a hound dog that's lying on the patio. And every once in a while they're visiting, the hound dog goes, "Arr!" And the visitor kind of looks, doesn't think too much about it. But a moment or two later, "Arr!" And he lifts his head and he looks at his owner. Third time, the dog makes this god-awful noise. It sounds like he's dying. And the visitor says, "Well, buddy, what the hell's the matter with your dog?" And his friend says, "Well, simple. He's lying on a nail right there. There's a nail that popped right through the floorboard there. He's lying on it." The guy says, "Well, why doesn't he move?" The dog's owner shrugs and says, "Well, I guess it doesn't hurt him enough yet." That is most of you in this spot. You've got the basic needs covered. You get to tell the story of you're an entrepreneur. You get to serve and support your clients, but you haven't actually created what you started your business for, which was freedom. So let's move forward. Just going to put this is caution. So this point here is where we get the beginning of freedom, and right here, I'm going to call this fun. Now, I want to be very clear about this freedom point. I actually didn't draw this exactly the way I wanted to. I got a little carried away. But what I want you to understand is this. This is your minimum requirement. This is your minimum target, this spot here. And what I want each of you to do, if you haven't already, and I'm willing to bet that you haven't, because I've shared this with a multitude of people, and it's like, hey, I never thought of it that way. I know. So here's what I want you to do, is that just recognize that these stages are natural and normal. The thing that I want you to add to this, is going to be at a little bit of an angle here, I'm going to do it in red, is I want you to decide the term. How long is it going to take for you to get from here to freedom? That's it. All you have to do is decide on the term. By the way, that term could be, if I use, because I didn't get this at the beginning, that term could be 15 years to break 7 figures and go, ooh, I'm making a little money. Or it could be 14 months to make $2.4 million and it's like, oh, I'm making a little bit of money. It doesn't matter what the term is. I want you to be clear that you are not going to let yourself get stuck and trapped in this side of the equation. There is one measure. My dear friend Tony Pennells, who you actually saw it on, saw him as one of our JV partners, he talks about this not just from an entrepreneurial perspective, but from a personal finance perspective. And what he says is that you have to figure out your freedom day. When will all of this actually work out so that you are totally free, where you don't necessarily have to go to work? You can if you choose, but you don't have to. So that's what we're talking about here. Now, here's what's fun about this, or here's what's cool about this, is once we get to this spot where our input is significantly lower, but our sales and profitability is significantly higher because we have built systems, because we have used leverage, because we have utilized joint ventures, because instead of trying to find 100 clients, we just had to find 3 great JV partners. Because we are starting to have that, this gets more enjoyable. But here's the part. If you really design it well, is that this does not level out, and let's say if we're going to arbitrarily assign this 0 to 10, let's say that this is leveling out here at maybe a 5, 4.5, is that it's also entirely possible that you can design the business so that it's down here like at a 1 or a 2, and this whole area here is the reason you started your business, which is called freedom. And I'm talking about freedom of time, I'm talking about freedom of energy, I'm talking about freedom of money, I'm talking about freedom for contribution, I'm talking about freedom to do, be, have, get that in the correct order, whatever it is that your little heart desires. So, I trust this makes some sense. I'm going to go back in a moment or two, and we're going to actually go through a couple of questions where I'm going to ask you to assess yourself so you can honestly tell yourself what is going on here. Because if it is not already clear to you, and just to be clear, I've been in the business game for over 30 years. I've been an entrepreneur perhaps since birth. I have spent a significant amount of time here. I get it. I totally get it. And I have had great times here. And I'll tell you the number one difference between struggling, busting my ass over here, and enjoying my life over here is one thing and one thing only: leverage. And the best leverage I've ever had is through JV partners, getting to build businesses, serve my clients with people that I love. This, my friends, is why joint venturing is not a good idea. It is a freaking necessity. All right, on that note, we're gonna go back in the other room, and I will leave the pens here. Okay. I was just checking out the easel in my plants. It's like, my plants actually look like not bad on, not bad on the live stream. I am the green thumb here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, gang, is that I am just going to take a quick little scan of your questions and make sure that I haven't missed anything here. Wouldn't be surprised. Interested when they connect to the right support. So results coach, I promise I will answer that question actually as we get moving into Q&A area. Perfect, done, done, done. So I am curious, no problem, got it, thanks, all good. Andrea says, yes, this is totally me and totally it. Perfect, okay. Remember, each JV opportunity, you want to be in business, please. Okay, perfect, 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 perfect. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want you to answer a series of 5 questions. And the 5 questions are designed to inform you honestly about where are you in your process. And I'm going to go through these pretty darn quickly so that we can get moving and shaking, because our timing and our schedule is a little bit askew here, and we're going to try and get it back on track as quickly as we can. So I'm going to ask you to get a pen and paper out, or just open a new screen on your page, all that fun stuff. And I want you to answer on a scale of 1 to 10. Actually, just let's arbitrarily fix that, and I wrote it as 1 to 10, but the truth is, it might be a 0. You could be totally operating at a 0. And team, could I ask a favor? Could I get the monitor just behind the screen there, because it's actually just distracting me a little bit. So here's the thing. You're going to answer these questions from a 0 to a 10. Thank you, brother, appreciate that. From a 0 to a 10. And I'm going to ask you to be as honest as you possibly can. Your maximum score on this could be 50. Your minimum score on this could be 0. And I want you to push yourself to be honest. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how profitable is your business? Now, 10 to me would represent it is off the hook profitable. It's making more money than I even hoped that it would when I started the business. 0 would be there isn't any profit, and or perhaps I am accumulating debt. You pick the number that is most appropriate for you, 0 to 10. How profitable is your business? Number 2, now this is related, but not exactly the same by any stretch of the imagination, is how much liquid cash, that could be in the form of in your operating account, that could be in the form of reserves, but how much liquid cash does your business have? Or you have, if you're blending them together, that's all well and fine as well. But what I want you to do again, 0 to 10. 0 is, perhaps there is no liquid cash, and in fact, there could be accumulating debt in some way, shape, or form. And 10 would be, I have all of the reserves that I hope for, that I intended to create when I started my business. 0 to 10. Question number 3, and this is a big one. How much fun are you having? How much fun are you having? Because if you're waking up and it's, you know, I don't have time for a rant, but I'm just going to poke this really quickly, is that if the whole thing feels like a grind and you have to inspire yourself for the grind and you have to push yourself for the grind and you got to get out and grind the grind, I'm going to suggest you're probably not having too much fun and you're probably on the lower end of the spectrum. If, however, and this is one of the things that I'm incredibly joyful for, like I see a bunch of people on this chat that are my clients or my past clients, those sorts of things, that it's like, I feel honored and thrilled to connect with them. I feel honored and thrilled to contribute to them. I feel honored and thrilled that they trust their process, their life, their business with me and our companies. Like, I get to have a ton of fun with them. So, 0 to 10, what is true for you? How much fun are you having? Number 4, we're almost there, which is this. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much free time do you have? How much free time do you have? So, I just got back from holidays with my boys and my lovely wife, and I think as the whole thing shook down, and we ended up being gone for about 3 weeks. That was a beautiful experience. By the way, not as much as I sometimes like in summer, which is the entire summer off, but all 4 weeks out of 8. So how much free time do you have? And if you have all the free time that you had decided in terms of how you designed your life and business, that would be a 10. If you don't, then that would be less than. You figure out what it is. And then the last one, and perhaps the most important, but that just might be my projection, which is this. On a scale of 0 to 10, what is the quality of the business community that is around you that you can rely on for support? So what is the quality of the business community you have around you that you can rely upon for support? And again, 0 to 10. Now I'm going to ask you to tally all of those pieces up. And I want you to, if you are so bold and brave, I would ask you to actually share them in our chat window. And the numbers will give you a really good idea about where you are. Now, in my humble opinion, is that anything below probably 40-ish means that you are on the left-hand side of the drawing, that you are still in the setup stages or you are stuck in some form of the, marginally successful but cash poor trap. If you are exceeding 40 and beginning to build up towards 50, in my humble opinion, then you are probably in the beginning of the fun into the freedom stage. And if you are brave enough and bold enough and honest enough to share what your rating is, I would just deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate that, because it's going to tell you what's going on. And by the way, sometimes it's like, look, this is a public forum. I don't want to put anything in there. I totally understand. That's okay. Another way of saying it is this. Is that how many of you know you are stuck in the marginally successful but cash-strapped position? If you're in that spot, just type it in. How many of you all know that you're in that beginning stage where it's just hard, it's frustrating, it's challenging, you're giving it everything you've got, and the sales and the profitability is just beginning to climb up? Robert Murray asked a cool question. And by the way, thank you for those of you who are willing to share. Marshall, 39, good for you, brother. That's outstanding. B. Gale, 15. Diane, 4. What do you do if we're very rich in friends and connections and not so much on finances? Well, Robert, that's up to you, but I would ask you to share what the number was that you went through when you went through that process, because I believe, and I could be wrong in terms of what your goals were, most of us, part of the objective of starting that business was to create some financial resources to pay for our life, to pay for our schools, to schooling for our kids, to pay for the money that we want to contribute and give, all of those pieces. So whatever is true for you. Yeah, I know I'm in the trap. Yep, I know I'm in the trap. Okay. 18, thank you, Melissa. Appreciate you being straight. Okay, fantastic. So here's the thing, gang. And if you're in that spot, Shauna Marie, I have amazing support and need to work on the others. Fantastic, Shauna Marie, I appreciate that. Here's what I want you to do. I want you, while we're on this live stream workshop, I want you to pick me and General Akbar in the trap. That's cute. My number's 22. I want you to choose the term to get to your freedom point. Okay? I want you to choose the term to get to your freedom point. And here's my recommendation to you. And I want you just to consider this. Everyone's going to pick their own term. I don't care what it is. But here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that if you utilize joint ventures wisely and you bust your you-know-what to build the process properly, to get the right people on side, there is absolutely no reason why that term should be any longer than 6 to 9 months. By the way, many of you could do it in 6 weeks. Many of you could do it in 8 weeks, where you could actually be free and get past that process if you commit to starting using the scale and leverage of joint ventures. Rachel, I'm definitely stuck, but moving forward in 2 months since working with you and Jane. You rock, Rachel, by the way. Jane M. Powers, minus 452. You are such a smart-ass woman. Okay. Are you with me? I want every single one of you to pick the term. And while you're picking the term, I'm going to ask you to put those, what it is. It's going to be 2 months, it's going to be 6 months, it's going to be 9 months, it's going to be a year. Here's the honest goodness truth about it. I believe and know in terms of working with people that it doesn't need to be a year. It doesn't need to be 9 months. It doesn't need to be 6 months. With dedicated effort, it could be measured in weeks. And I give you that. I'm not exaggerating. I'm in need of a life vest. Okay, well, then it might be a little longer than for you, Baran, I think. But honest to goodness, pick a date. I want you to type it in there. While you're doing that, we are going to skip an entire section to try and get ourselves back on time. And we are going to get to my dear friend Stuart. And do we have Stuart lined up? Okay. So Stuart, don't worry about it because we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to show you something else while we get ready for Stuart. So if we can reel Stuart in because of the time change, that would be fantastic. So I am going to get my PowerPoint up and I'm going to teach you something that I was going to move. And what I'm going to teach you, and it's coming up momentarily, I'm ready when you are, brother. We are going to talk about the joint venture mindset. Because here's what's true, is that the reason that most people struggle with doing joint ventures well is that their mindset is not in the space to fully step in and engage in it. That's the reality. Now, if you question that, I just want you to think about this, is that, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, but our doctor friend who said I'm in need of a life vest, there were people who were in the 4 range, the 20 range, the 15 range, all the rest of it. When you're in that spot, here's what's true. Heart, mind, and soul, you are engaged in the battle. You are stuck in the trap. You are trying to figure out how to get things done. You are thinking about how to make things work so that you survive. And your survival programming eliminates the possibility to do joint ventures well. I'm going to say that again. Your survival programming eliminates your possibility to do joint ventures well. So I'm going to share with you the 3 keys to you doing joint ventures well, and I'm going to do it quite quickly. So get a pen and paper out, make some notes, whatever you got to do. Here's the number one piece, and this is the reason why most people don't actually succeed, because they're still back in the trap, but trying to break out of the trap, and they can't do it because they actually have scarcity operating in their heart, mind, and soul, when what you truly need is abundance. You need to get heart, mind, and soul in your life, in your business, with your clients, with money, with time, with love, with health, with everything, that there is more than enough to go around. But that's hard to believe when we're stuck in the trap battling to get our sales and profit up. It's hard to believe because our reality argues against it. Now, first of all, we got to focus on abundance. That is our internal game. That is our internal mindset. That is our capacity to contribute. That is this fervent belief at a cellular basis that there is an abundance and there is more than enough of everything. The next is we have to put our clients' needs first. Now, again, this flies in the face of, I need to get my needs met. I need to get out of the trap. I need to make a little bit more money. I need to make a little bit more profit. I need to close this gap. I need to get closer to my freedom day. I need to do all of these things, and it's all about me. Shock of all shocks, that shit doesn't work. What we have to be clear about is that if we're going to joint venture, we joint venture first to support our clients. And think about it from this perspective. Our clients are on this journey. They were somebody else's client before they came to us. They'll be somebody else's client after they're with us. And they are on a journey and we are just playing a role. By the way, I just gave you a hint that we're going to give some content on the third product, on the third module about where to find partners. But we have to put our clients' needs first. And then the third part is this, and this also is difficult as hell when we are struggling for the survival and the profitability of our company, which is interdependence. We have got to open ourselves up to be, number one, a little bit intimate. We've got to open ourselves up to tell the truth about where we're really at. We've got to open ourselves up to recognize that we cannot be the end-all and be-all. We've got to open ourselves up to know that we are not going to succeed and we're not going to thrive as a solo person on an island. It's not going to happen. And these three pieces come together in some interesting relationships. So the first of which is this. When we truly have abundance and we are putting our clients' needs first, is that we then are in the position of supporting our clients, not selling our clients. And by the way, if any of you have any sort of ick about selling, it's like, oh, I'm not sure I want to do that. If you got any ick about selling, then what I want you to know for absolutely certain is this. You likely don't have your clients' needs at the top of the list. You're likely still engaged in those conversations with far too much about you in it. Because when we get really clear about there's an abundance and a more than enough clients, more than enough money, more than enough time, more than enough love, all those sorts of things, and we are simply there to serve and support our client to get their needs met, which might be us or it might be somebody else. When we are in that spot, in that position, we're not selling, we're supporting. And there's nothing to feel ick about. In fact, I'm willing to bet every single one of you on this line, you are, how do I put this? You are, actually, if you just cut back to me for a brief moment, because I don't want that thing up there the whole time, because I want you to hear this. I'm willing to bet that every single one of you on this line is an incredibly heartfelt person. That a lot of your clients work with you because you care about them, because you love them, because you want the best for them. That's why they're there with you. It's not about a transaction. It's not about an online course. It's not about the capacity to speak. It's not about, that's not what it is. It's because you care about them. And if you believe that that is true, then if selling is ridiculous. Let's just support them to find what they want. That's it. Shifts everything. Like that. Let's go back to our little piece, please. Now, let's just explore the interrelationship between abundance and interdependence. Every single one of you who deems themselves still to be in the trap, every single one of you deems yourself still to be in the trap, you are suffering from a lack of resources. Lack of time, lack of profit, lack of web developers, lack of online sales, lack of budget for Facebook ads, lack of this, lack of that, lack of. I think there's a song about that somewhere, somehow. Regardless, I shouldn't sing it. But if you are going to actually have this experience of abundance, is that you've got to get access to greater resources. And when you get access to greater resources, the only way to do that, well, I shouldn't say the only way to do that, the fastest and easiest way to do that is through joint ventures where you get to pool the resources to serve your clients and to create the abundance that you want, you need, and you can share. All right. The last part here, and we may have to just pull my video off just to be able to see the bottom of this piece, is the overlap between interdependence and clients' needs. And this is where we provide service to our clients. We get great income, and here's the thing, and this is where a little choir of angels comes in and goes, oh! and there's no delivery. You don't have to deliver it if you were the person sharing the joint venture. Now, clearly, if you're on the other side of it, you have to deliver it. But there are times where you get to make a substantial income simply connecting your clients with what they want and need, and you don't have to do the work. For crying out loud, you don't have to do the work. So this all boils down to, and if we could put my little video back up there, this all boils down to, in the center where these things all line up, what I call triple win joint ventures. And those triple win joint ventures is, and actually we'll just go back to the, yeah, thank you, brother. It is where the abundance, interdependence, clients' needs all overlap into that little center part right in the middle, and that, my friends, is what we're looking for. And all you need is a couple of those, and the honest goodness truth is it will add 6 figures to your bottom line without having to do the work. Without having to do the work. Little quick question, how are we making out with Stuart? 1 minute. 1 minute, okay, perfect. So we can go back to me full screen, please. So I want to just put this in perspective. And I'm curious, I got to escape there so we can get back to our chat window. Because I want to see what your time frames are, my friends. Melissa Hebert, 2 months would be awesome. 4 months, 4 weeks. Shauna Marie, I like how you think. Stuart, January 1, 2019. Diane Hume, 6 months. January 15th, Andrea, 5 months, 10 weeks. Let's say Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving would be a great promo. The Lack song. Yeah, don't sing it. Fizz, I am certain that any time I attempt to sing or mock singing, it is of great pain to you, brother. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, Fizz is a very talented musician, composer, performer, all of those pieces. And by the end of the year. Okay, beautiful. So I want to just give a little glimpse into how things might change for you, just for a little fun and entertainment. And what I want to do is this, is how do I put this? I'm more of a relationship person than I am a detail person or a number person, because that's not really my strength by any stretch of the imagination. Any of you who are already my clients, you know that, and thank God for Rob. Rob's on the line. I bow down to you, Rob. Thank you. I was doing a little bit of prep for this last night, and I have been joking that the modern version of the couch cushions, and I don't know if any of you, and type it in if you were, by the way, when you were kids, if you were looking for money in the house, how many of you went to the couch and the love seat and reached around and lifted the cushions, all the rest of it, hoping to find a few bucks that, you know, mom, dad, family member, whatever the case may be, lost in the couch cushions? And if you were ever one of those, what I want you to do is just type in couch cushions so I know we're on the same page. So here's what I think. Is because I'm not really that number person, I have come to think of my PayPal account as the modern day version of couch cushions. Because for all of our JVs, that's how it's basically paid. I mean, there's only probably a handful of things that were actually wired to the account, but almost everything is paid for through JVs. So what I've come to do these days is think of PayPal as the modern day version of couch cushions. Now, I thought it would be kind of fun, so Kara, yes, she says yep. I thought it would be fun to just see, you know, how much cash has been sort of like floating around in the couch cushions, because it's like every once in a while I go and it's like, oh, that's great, that's there. So I went back and I looked back to 2015, which is when I started doing joint ventures. I looked back to 2015, and I'm just going to give you the exact numbers. And please understand, I'm not doing this to gloat or any of that silly BS. I'm doing this just to give you an example of if you could just integrate this into your business model, this is what could happen. So in our first year, JV income, 128,000 bucks US. In our second year, JV income, 118,000 bucks US. In our third year, JV income was $88,000 US. This year so far, JV income, $77,000 US. Now, that's not bad, and if you average the whole thing out, it works out to, you know, somewhere around the neighborhood of about 10,000 bucks US a month, falling into the couch cushions because I choose to support and to engage and to connect with JV partners and have them simply serve and support my tribe when my tribe needs their services. And the rest just takes care of itself. Now, in all seriousness, I want you to consider this. What if just supporting the right people, just introducing your tribe to the people that they want, need, and desire, would that make a difference if it added another 10,000 bucks US to your couch cushions? And if that would make a difference, I want you to type in hell yes. Natasha, you make me smile. Okay, no worries. See, it's not just us. So say Mercury might be in Gatorade. It's entirely possible. Our first guest, Stuart, his laptop crashed and they're having trouble. It's all good. Here's what we're going to do. Natasha says she broke a vacuum cleaner. That still makes me funny. Go straight to my dad's money bucket. That's hilarious. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, gang. Stuart is going to join us when he gets ready. But what I want to do is this, I have alluded a couple of times to the fact that we are going to do a incredibly good offer for you. An invitation that I don't think you can say no to. Like, I think it would be absolutely crazy, like batshit crazy, for you to say no to. And I'm laughing because my youngest boy, he came across that Apple Red song that was in that ad, and it's called Batshit Crazy, and he just absolutely loves it. So there's an 8-year-old running around my house going, batshit crazy. Bad parenting, right there. That's how it goes. Sorry. Rachel, actually, I'll answer this question before I jumped up. How big was my list in 2015? That's a great question. So my mailing list in 2015 started at 1,800 people. It was tiny. And with that small list, I ended up on a variety of what they call leaderboards, where I placed in the top 3, top 5 on some pretty big name lists. So it was not huge by any stretch of the imagination. But I did have a great relationship with them. Okay, so I want to get back to this invitation, because here's what I want. I want every single one of you, if you get that you're stuck in that, marginally successful but cash poor trap, you need a solution. You need some support and you need some structure to meet those goals of being out in 6 weeks, being out in 10 weeks, being out by January 15th, being out in 6 months, being out in 4 months. You need some support with that. So I want to invite you to sign up and register for the JVology Roadmap. Now, I want to be clear about this. First and foremost is that I want you to sign up for it, but at the end of the day, this offer is free. It is 100% free. And every single one of you should be doing this, and I'm going to explain how that whole free offer works, what it is, how it works, all that fun stuff. So if you could do me a favor, and we can just pop my screen up with me in the corner for a moment or two, if you would, brother. By the way, that's Warren in the background taking care of all these things. And I'm just going to scroll this up so you can see. So here's what I want to invite you to. I want to invite each and every one of you to get in your car, get in a plane, get in a train, hitchhike, do whatever is necessary to get your ass out of your house and to a live event. And we have 2 different cities, 2 different dates, all these pieces coming up in September. The first of which is Calgary, September 21 to 23. Come to Calgary. It's beautiful in the fall. You will love it. And if you're in the U.S., your dollar, $1 US is worth about 82 bucks Canadian currently, so it goes a little bit further. I'm exaggerating. That's not true if any of you are trying to exchange. And we also have a date in Phoenix for September 28th to 30th. So you can choose either of these dates. And here's what I want you to do, is I want you to commit to doing what we call the JVology Roadmap. Now, the JVology Roadmap includes a whole bunch of pieces, and I'm going to share with you how all of this works. So number 1, you will get a 14-day JV Success Roadmap program. It is an email a day, it has a little video, and it has a little action for you to get yourself ready to dive into the joint venture world. It gets your head thinking about how this is going to actually work. In that process, you're going to get 2 live coaching calls. And those coaching prep calls are, how do you apply the content from the 14-day training program? And on top of that, how are you going to maximize what you are going to create at the JVology Live event? Because of course, you also get tickets to JVology Live. So and by the way, those tickets are early bird, $197 for regular, $397 for VIP. That's the early bird prices. The regular prices are $997 and $1497. So it's a wicked, wicked price. So you get tickets to JVology Live. You get the 14-day success program. You get 2 live coaching calls. You get a pre-event mastermind. And this is where you come the day before the program, and bunch of the movers and shakers, myself and my team, we come together and we do a little mastermind about what do you really need to create in this weekend for it to be the best money that you have ever invested in your life, full stop. So that pre-event mastermind from 4 to 6, the Thursday before each of the events, of course, there you have your choice of Calgary, you have your choice of Phoenix. You can see over here it says choose which city you want to attend. That's important for us so that we know what confirmation list you're on. And then on top of that, because we want you to do so well even before you get to the event. You get a masterclass. And this masterclass we've been selling for $497 for a couple of years now, and it is how to find and approach ideal JV partners. And all of this I want to give to you for free. Now, let's be clear. We can go back to full screen for a brief moment. Let's be clear. There's a hook. It's not a complex hook, but there is a hook, and I want to be straight with you about the hook. The hook is this. I want you to make a commitment to yourself and to me, and you're going to put a deposit down of $197. And for $197, you are going to get all of the value that I just outlined to you, which is basically, with the retail price of the live event, is basically $3,000. So you're going to put a deposit down of $197. When you get to the live event, you'll pick up your name tag. We will give you your check back for $197. So it's 100% free. Now, just to be clear about this, that $197 fee, even, well, I don't want to say this, but I'll say it just, even if you didn't come to the event, that'd be the best $197 that you'd ever make, or that you'd ever spend, because you'll learn how to do a bunch of the pieces for joint ventures. But here's the thing, 100% free. All you need to do is engage in the process, show up at the event where you are going to learn how to invite JV partners, where you're going to be exposed to somewhere between 80 and 100 people who want to joint venture with you. You can cover more ground in those 3 days than you could do in 2 years trying to find JV partners on your own. Here's a little hint to this. Just being in that room, learning the language, practicing the invitations, understanding where people fit, how you can serve and support people. That one piece will add significant money to your couch cushions, and I kid you not. There's something else I want to say about this. But yeah, $197, you get your money back free. Now, the other part I want you to understand is when you go to that page, and by the way, do we have the register button up? Okay, so what's going to happen is the team is going to put the register button up, and you're going to click the register button. You're going to go to the page that I just showed you. You're going to fill all of those pieces in. When you click, yes, I'm in, for the JVology roadmap, you'll get all of the bonuses, the training, the live calls, the pre-event mastermind, the event itself, and the bonus masterclass, which is how to find and approach ideal JV partners. When you get all of that done, another page is going to pop up, and it's going to say, hey, brilliant choice, but if you want to go VIP, you should do that. Now, if you go to our site today, which is jvologylive.com, you'll see that the VIP is $397, which is a wicked deal, by the way. Wicked deal. If you look at what it actually costs us to feed you for the 3 days, what the bonus processes are, it actually costs us a little bit more than the $397. But today only, when you register for this entire process, you can actually get VIP for only $297. Now, here's what that means. If you're going VIP, number one, you get preferential seating. Number two, you get a VIP wine and cheese the night before, where you get to hang out with the movers and shakers, a bunch of the speakers, some of the people who are already making 6 and 7 figures in joint ventures. Those are the people you want to meet. In addition to that, we feed you all 3 days. You get preferential seating. When we have our open bars in the evenings, we actually take care of you. You get drink tickets. So the truth is this. It is a wicked deal, and if you're going to go to an event, you might as well go VIP. I mean, for goodness sakes, you're trying to attract premium partners, and you want to actually meet those people, so why not hang out with them? So, click that button, it will upgrade you, and it is a one-time offer. You will never get this. Don't call us after this and say, hey, I decided I wanted to upgrade. It's like, no, you do it now. If you do it later, it's $397. That's why this is called a one-time offer. So, VIP is the way to go. Now, a couple of things about this. Questions that I often get asked. And by the way, my team is here to support you. If you have any questions, you can private chat them in the chat window. You can ask a question in the chat, any of those pieces. Because the truth of the matter is this. To get all of that support for free, I want to be clear about what I'm trying to do here. I don't know if any of you ever read this book. Dr. Cherie Carter Scott wrote a book called Love is a Game of I'll Go First. Brilliant book, by the way, and she's a brilliant woman. I interviewed her like, I don't know, 20 years ago when I first did my first television series. But here's the thing that I want you to consider, is joint venturing is a game of I'll go first. I just want you to think about that for a moment or two. Joint venture is a game of I'll go first. So what that means is, if you want to build a meaningful relationship, if you want to make a positive contribution, if you want to become relevant in somebody's world, and this, by the way, applies to some of the questions that were asked earlier, is like, how do we get a big name person to pay attention to us? Here's an answer to that. Be relevant. Get on their radar. do something meaningful, significant, and important. Like, for goodness sakes, like, that's a really, really, really big deal. So what I'm doing here is making a deposit and a contribution to you and your business. And I want to make such a fabulous deposit and contribution to you and your business that I will do it for free. And make no mistake about it, these events are not free. They cost a significant amount of money. And I want to do so to demonstrate how we can serve and support you and potentially see if there's an opportunity for us to work together in the future. I want to be very transparent about what this is. But I am doing nothing more than walking my talk, which is, you want to learn how to JV? I'll teach you. You want to meet people who you can JV with? I'll deliver them. You want to transform your business from the trap to the freedom? I've done it a bunch of times. I can help you do it as well. And the simple way to do this is I will do all of those things for free. You put your money where your mouth is, which is a whole $197 to say, yes, I'm going to show up. By the way, we call the $197 the no flake fee, which is, and people are flakes at times, let's be clear about this. It's called the no flake fee. Because if we didn't put the $197, it's like you'd get busy, you'd stub your toe, Mercury would go into Gatorade again. There'd be some other difficulty that would get in the way. And I want you to show up so that you can get the value. Hope that makes all good sense. We have a guest. Okay, I'm just going to wrap this piece up, and then we're going to do a little bit more there. Okay. Any questions? So here's what I want you to do. Click the register now button. Get yourself registered. You can pick either of those dates. So pick either of those dates, it's totally fine. And by the way, if neither of those dates work, what I want you to understand is that one of the things that I'm working on, because I think this is so important for people, is that we are going to be doing more and more work in the JVology space. So last year, or thus far this year, we'll have done 3 of them. In the year that's coming up is we're going to be doing these 3 to 5 times a year. So you're going to have a multitude of choices. So if I were you, Kimberly, what I would actually do is get yourself registered for the roadmap, get all of that foundational training underneath your belt, get all of those pieces done, and then when you're ready, you show up at the live event, and same deal as always, we will give you, you get your name tag, we'll give you your check, and it's still 100% free. All you did was secure the incredible offer and get the training, the support in the community ahead of time. That's absolutely the route to go. So if those 2 dates don't work, do not worry. There's a multitude of dates coming your way. Okie dokie. See you in Phoenix. Natasha, that's fantastic. I look forward to hanging out with you again. That is terrific. Now, yes, and all prices are in US dollars. Okie dokie dokie. All right, we have a guest, so we can wander on over and chat. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. I'm going to come this way. Hello, brother. I'm going to put this in so I can hear you. Mr. Stewart, how the heck are you?
Hey, I'm so excited. I think I'm going to sign up myself.
Well, you kind of already did, right?
Yeah, I want to attend.
Well, we get to do both when we're there, which is pretty fantastic. Okay, so what I'd love to do is, can I see you have your little PowerPoint up there, but can you get your head up there? I'd like to see you for a little bit first. Hey, brother. So good.
Hey, man.
Okay, let me introduce you first and foremost. So everybody at home, what I want you to do is you just imagine you're giving a warm welcome to my dear friend Stuart. Now, Stuart is a early joint venture partner of mine when we were doing Mastermind to Millions live, and I got to make sure the camera's over there, isn't it? I'm looking over here. When we were doing Mastermind to Millions live in Phoenix, and he was kind enough to host me sort of sight unseen at a joint venture and training community he hosts in Phoenix called Wednesday Night Club, which they hold every second Thursday of the month. And sorry, I couldn't resist. But they do a stunning job, and I just, number one, was really impressed with Stuart, with his team, with Liz. They treated me like absolute gold, and it was just like, there's a person that I want to do more work with. And as we have been going through developing the JVology brand and doing more work together, Stuart said, hey, I got to do something in the joint venture domain, and what are you doing? And he and I got talking a little bit, and it's like, you know what we should do is do something together, which is, by the way, how the Phoenix date started. If for those of you who are like, oh, I couldn't come to Canada, but I can do Phoenix, you can thank Stuart, because it would not have occurred without him. So number one, I just want to say I appreciate you, brother. You have done great support for us. You've been, you know, one of those top 10 JV partners, and I look forward to doing much more work with you together. Now, here's the truth of the matter. We are. Oh, hey, you're very welcome. We are a little long because we had some weird tech stuff going on with Mercury and Gatorade. So I want to go through everything that we said that we were going to go through, but I want us to do it as laser as we can. Does that work for you, brother? Yeah. And how are you doing timing-wise? Are you okay? Because
we're flexible.
Beautiful.
We just have to learn the difference between Mountain Standard Time, Pacific Time, because Arizona doesn't change. When the rest of the country changes, we don't, because I guess our cows don't care what time they get milk. So
I understand. Okay, all good. So let's dive in then, brother. So how did you get started with joint ventures? Because I know you have a broad range of experience, and you know what? I forgot to say something. I got to back up the bus. Beep, 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 beep. One of the things in our past JVology events is that we have focused quite specifically on online marketing. And some people are like, well, but how does that apply to bricks and mortar? How does that apply to real estate? How does that apply to a bunch of places? And one of the reasons why I really want to work with Stuart is he's done all of those things. Like he is the tangible in the world, make shit happen through JVs. So that's, I forgot to say that very important point. Sorry, brother. So how did you get started? Sorry, man. How did you get started in JVs?
You know, to be honest, I think I was involved with JVs long before we called it JVs. I was looking to do a partnership to start a business with. In my previous life, I'm a pharmacist. My dad was a pharmacist. My grandpa was a pharmacist. My uncle, my dad's brother, my Uncle Max, was a pharmacist. And I just couldn't take the cold weather in Chicago. So even though there was pharmacy waiting for me when I graduated pharmacy school, I moved to Arizona. And I was looking for someone to split time, split responsibility, make sure that we had a profitable outcome, and maybe someone with a little bit more experience because I had never really done it before on my own. And so I ventured with a gentleman from Michigan, and we opened up 3 stores over time. And then as fate would have it, opportunity knocks, and it was time to sell them. And I went into doing real estate investing, full-time teaching at the real estate school, how to invest. And I guess I got the bug because a couple of fellows called me and said they were slammed with their pharmacy and they wanted a third partner to join them, another joint venture. And with those guys, we went from 1 pharmacy to 3 pharmacies, took the sales from 0 to about 12 million when we sold in 2012.
Wow.
And we didn't call them joint ventures, we call them partnerships.
Yes. But
they're basically interchangeable words because it's everybody has an outcome that they want, and they want to have the similar desired outcome. So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and my partners and I were always on the same page. It was a great joint ventures.
That's
great.
Outstanding. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me ask you a question, because I sometimes get surprised when people draw this big distinction. It's like, well, that's online, but what about offline? It kind of confuses me at times. So do you think it's harder or easier to do a JV in the what I'm going to call traditional business world? Sometimes I say bricks and mortar, but I mean not just online is really the way I'm thinking about that.
That's a great question, and I think the answer is as clear as mud. It depends.
Yeah.
It depends. I think if you're an apparel store and you want to sell clothes or shoes or things in the apparel world, it's very competitive, especially when you have Amazon delivering sometimes within 2 hours. I can order some ink cartridges from Amazon. They'll be in my office within 2 hours. Tough to compete with the bricks and mortar when someone will deliver it to me at a price that's less expensive than I would had I gone to the shop. Mm-hmm. So I think it depends. I think you want to do healthcare, you want to do something unique like a boutique. So there are opportunities in bricks and mortars and mortar, and I'd also
J&M Power Rangers. She's coming up later. the Immortals.
Some people want to do business with someone online if they have a retail presence, if they have a storefront. So sometimes it's helpful to have a storefront, even if it's just a place to collect mail and to store inventory, and it gives you a little bit more street cred. So I think the answer is yes, it is. It just depends on the industry, and things are always changing. So you want to be on the cutting edge.
Nicely put. And I think the other thing you said that I really like about this is that don't think of it as either or. So what I've been saying to people is like, goodness gracious, it's the same fundamental concepts. But I got to tell you, I've got a whole bunch of people in retail, a whole bunch of people who have foot traffic, all the rest of it, that just getting them to start thinking about maybe we should capture an email is this whole earth-shattering idea. But we'll talk more about that afterwards. I love that. Okay, so what would you say to someone considering starting or scaling their business with JVs? I mean, you've got so many reference points that somebody's like, okay, I'm going to stop doing it all on my own. I'm going to do this. What would you share with them?
So when you start your own business, and I teach this in the class, you do everything. You do everything. You raise the capital, you take out the garbage, you answer the phone, you're responsible for generating revenue. You're responsible for the books. You're responsible for filing taxes if you're going to hire someone. Dude, you are every cap available when you start your own business. And what I learned, Jay, and I learned this in the School of Hard Knocks because I could be really stubborn, and that is you can't do it alone. And then what I learned was from my mom is that there are some people who want to help you. And I'll tell you a short story. And it's about my mom when she fell. God bless her, she'll be 95 this year. When she fell and she broke her arm, and she was using a walker at the time, it was very difficult for her to get around with a walker and a broken arm. So she had a caregiver come to the house, and my cousin Marlene wanted to drop off some homemade brisket. And my mom says to me, I'm not really in the mood for brisket, yada, yada, yada. I think I'm going to tell Marlene not to come. And I said to my mom, she made this brisket for you. She loves you. Even if you don't want it, you should accept it because that makes Marlene feel good. In other words, there are people out there that want to help you. That's what they enjoy, helping people get started. They enjoy helping someone scale their business, participating in a puzzle, being the other half. People like to feel wanted and needed. And there's a huge amount of people that I know that just thrive on what Tony Robbins calls contribution. Mm-hmm. So those people are wonderful to joint venture with because you can lean on them, learn from them. And sometimes, when we joint venture, it's not always, we don't always need money. Sometimes you need some wisdom, or you need someone that's done it before, or you need some inside knowledge that you've given me so many times. Just how does this work? How does that work? And then together we win, right? So my number one nugget is, and I've learned this through School of Hard Knocks, there's no reason to do it alone. And when you become successful, you can thank those that helped you because everybody wins.
Nicely put. Nicely put. I really do think that hits the nail on the head, and it is our desire and drive for the freedom of independence that I think costs us so much time, effort, energy, money, the entire process. I totally love that. Now, couple of things. First and foremost, my dear friend Stuart is going to teach and be training throughout both JVology events, both in Calgary and in Phoenix. And like I say, his experience is in the medical field, in the real estate field, in the bricks and mortar, in the cutting. Like he has a range of experience in that world that is like none other. So what I asked him to do that I thought would be really a smart idea, what I asked him to do was to share with us a quick tidbit of how one of the key joint venture processes that he teaches in real estate could be like super simply applied. Because some of you, by the way, are at home and going from this, I'm stuck in this particular trap, is you just need a different product. You just need a different industry. You just need a different leap. You just need a different sideline. You just need to leverage the foundation you've built in another way. So Stuart, and I know we're a little bit behind, and what you're about to share with us is a big idea that makes a significant amount of money. But if you could take it away and teach us those pieces, I would deeply, deeply appreciate it.
So this one's going to be on a real estate transaction that we do. I'm going to teach you just a little bit about where this transaction fits in. So joint ventures, we are better together. Let me do this. There we go. So let's agree that you, watching at home, would never, ever enter into a real estate transaction unless it was just perfect, right? So let's agree that if you even ever wanted to do one, you'd have to find the perfect seller, an ideal strategy, a perfect property, situation, financing, the money, the location. Everything has to be perfect. So if everything's perfect, then we're going to talk about the different strategy of what you might do with it. And really in real estate, you can either create cash flow by buying and holding or being the lender, or you can create immediate cash by fixing and flipping, and you've seen those all on the television shows, and or wholesaling. So I'm just going to go through each one and end up with a what I think is a home run. So at the end of the day, let me tell you, they all work. So whichever strategy you pick, not so much get rich quick, but get rich slow. And unfortunately, these principles, or fortunately, these principles have withstood the test of time. These are basic principles that have gone on way before I've been around, you've been around, my dad's been around, my grandpa. So if you want to create cash flow, you can buy and hold a property, like a rental property. You can buy and hold an apartment. You can buy and hold commercial, whatever it is, buy and hold, and you'll collect X number of dollars a month. We try to average about $200 to $500 a month per door, positive cash flow every month. So that's one strategy. The next strategy would be just be the lender. You become my bank. You lend money for a fix and flip, or you lend money for a buy and hold. Maybe you get a higher interest rate. Maybe you get a piece of the action. But each of those gives you cash flow every month religiously. Or you could do like they show on television, and that's like that TV show, Fix and Flip. And you know what that is, right? You purchase a property, you add value, and then you sell it to the new owner. So that's the whole concept of the fix and flip. And then at the end, you rinse, wash, and repeat. So you got to do that over and over again. But it can generate some serious cash. It takes a little while, and then your cash flow is up and down, up and down. But the one I really want to share and what I love is this wholesale transaction. Do you ever wonder where the fix and flippers get their properties from? You would think they get them directly from the sellers, but most of the time they don't. They don't have the time to market to sellers. They're too busy watching their contractors, ordering supplies. Maybe they've got 2 or 3 projects going out at once. They're always looking for the next opportunity. And that's where this fits in. And this is a very simple, and I'll go through it quickly. Thank you, Jay. And by the way, Jay, you got a beautiful home. We call this an A to B, B to C transaction, where you find a seller and you could joint venture with someone to help you, because in your sphere of influence, that is the people you know, you might not know someone who's going to be a seller, but the person you're joint venturing with, they know someone. And as soon as you partner with someone, you've now more than doubled. Yes, you'll have some overlap of some people you know, but they know and have relatives that's completely separate, usually, from your side. So that's where the joint venture comes in. I'll show you how that works. So you are the B, where you find a seller who wants to get rid of his property. We call those people, motivated sellers or don't wanters. And my favorite story is when grandma dies. When grandma dies, unfortunately, when grandpa died, he had a life insurance policy and paid off the mortgage. Grandma passed, and the house smells a little bit like cats and smells a little like grandma. And the realtor calls the relatives back in another state and says, hey, if you want to add some carpet and paint, I can sell this house for more. And the kids back somewhere else, they don't want to spend the 5, 10, 15 grand to put into it. And they just say sell it. And those are one of my favorite deals. And so you find someone that's motivated, going through divorce, bankruptcy, and then you take that property and you find yourself a buyer. And you mark it up a slight amount. Just like when you Walgreens and wholesale Crest or toothpaste or Colgate toothpaste, they get it in and then they sell it, mark it up a little bit and get it out. And I got to tell you, last year, our average profit on these wholesale deals was a little over $15,000 a deal. So these are fast deals. We tie them up. Not that they're quick and not they're fast, but here's the best part, okay? This is why I love it. You use your buyer's money to pay your seller. In other words, the only money you have out of pocket is the money that you're going to go and to put up to show that you're earnest. We call that earnest money. How much is that? $100, $500, $1,000, right? You put up that money, and as you go find your buyer, they put up their money, the full amount to close, and you use that money to pay the seller, and you get your deposit back. And the way the contracts are written, the what if. What if I can't find a buyer? What if? Well, if you probably can't find a buyer, you may not have that great of a deal, but you get all your money back. So if it doesn't work out, you cancel, and you get all your money back. Or you ask for maybe a price reduction. But I want to show you one case study and we'll wind it up. And this is one of my prized clients who came to me to joint venture. You'll see in my email tag, it'll say, did you know that we would joint venture with you? Here's how, call or email or click. And so this is a gentleman named Scott Bauer. He's a client of mine. He wanted to partner with me with wholesaling. Phoenix, Arizona, very competitive market. Young guy in his 30s, very motivated, had a full-time job. Just wanted to get out of the rat race, didn't know how. And so this was an entry-level start for him. he became so, we did 7 deals together, Scott, before he felt comfortable going off on his own. We joint ventured on 7 transactions. Imagine that, do the math, right? Then he went off to have consistent $100,000 months, not years, months. And you can Google him, Scott Bauer. He's a rock star. So he was able to learn and get knowledge and experience through his joint venturing experience. We were able to help and partner and show and gain a fair amount of income in just this simple transaction. So Jay, at the end of the day, I'm going to be talking about this as well as the bricks and mortar, owning pharmacies as I did here in Arizona. You want to talk about being tight on inventory control. Try being in charge of the amoxicillin, the OxyContin, and the Viagra. That'll be an inventory control nightmare sometimes, let alone expense. So we were up to about 50 employees when I sold in 2012 in about 35 states, doing assisted living, hospice, and some skilled nursing facilities, some SNFs. So at the end of the day, I'm happy to share my experiences. I'm honored to be on the same platform with you, both in Phoenix and in Calgary, and on this live stream today. Thanks.
Hey, brother, I really appreciate you. My crazy brain goes, this whole idea of JVs is on, maybe we're in the wrong business. We should be joint venturing something along the lines of Viagra. I think that would probably be, anyway, my brain goes crazy.
Medical marijuana.
So yes, my mom, who just had her hip done, we finally have her trying that, which makes me laugh because she was so anti-it for so long. So brother, there's 3 things that I want to say about this, and then we'll wrap this piece up. So number 1, here is one of the reasons where you know that somebody in the JV world is authentic, real, and makes shit happen. It is when he, like I, make promises and follow through on them that we will joint venture with you. That is how you know, because lots of people float those promises around and they don't do it, okay? It becomes a bit of a shell game. It's one of the reasons why I respect and admire you, Stuart, for sure. So number 1, that's that. Number 2 is that please understand that these deals can be done in almost any industry. There is not a business under the sun that couldn't benefit from this process. Sometimes we have to think about it a little bit, but I give you my word, it can be done. Just on that note, Stuart, I think you'll get a chuckle out of this. It goes back to the Viagra thing. We once helped people come up, friends of ours own what they call love shops, and they're a couple, and they are really into education around sensuality and sexuality and all of those pieces. And we helped them put together a JV deal with the Calgary Science Center. So if we can put a sex shop and the Science Center together, we can come up with something for you. I give you my word, and Stuart knows how to do that. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is this, is that for somebody who's sitting at home on the fence, it's like, well, I'm not sure if I should go. Is this going to work? Why? Like, what would you say to somebody who is, for some crazy unknown reason, on the fence about coming to JVology Live, getting the entire JVology roadmap for free? What would your words of wisdom be to them?
I'm not sure why they would be sitting on the fence. Would be my first thought, because either they see the value or they don't. However, I'll admit it is a big time commitment. So maybe some folks can attend all 3 days. It can only kind of come and go. But even if you just showed up for a little bit or came and go when you could because you have kids, and I appreciate that and such, the value, you'll get more value. That's something that I'm really big on. So if you check me out and check my references and talk to my clients, my goal is to give more value than anybody else out there. And you already know Jay, you don't know me. So I got some pretty big shoes to fill. At the end of the day, as Jim Rohn would say, I can take you to the gym and show you how to do a push-up, but you got to do the push-up yourself. So Jay has offered to hold your hand. That's what we do. We hold your hand. We stand by you shoulder by shoulder to make sure we want to make sure about your success. Then the question is, how sure are you about your success? How bad do you want it? Because I can tell you this, if you show up, the only goal I have is to create success stories. It's not about the money. We do very well in real estate, as you know. It's about helping people and creating success. So I'm there. You show up and you show the effort, I'll contribute, and I know you will as well, Jay. So no reason not to be there. Even if it's a time commitment, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, nicely put. And just on that note, and I usually say this a little bit later, but I'll say it now just because I think it's significant. Some people are like, oh, well, I have a commitment or this or that. And it's like, so does that other commitment have strong likelihood of putting over $100,000 in your pocket in the next 6 to 12 months? Because if it doesn't, then cancel it and get your ass to the event. Or if it does, then go do that. But honest to goodness, it's like, you know, it's like, I booked a hair appointment 19 weeks ago. I don't give a crap. Like, seriously, and I mean this in all seriousness, and this is about my desire to serve and support. It's like, if what you have planned seriously has the propensity to put $100,000 in your pocket in the next 12 months, do that. If it doesn't, and you were stuck in that, you know, trap, then for goodness sakes, juggle and get there. So I appreciate it. Thank you, brother. I really look forward to working with you. It is an honor and a privilege, and we are going to have a ton of fun together.
I enjoy it. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for the opportunity. Beautiful home. See you soon.
Thanks. Talk soon. All right, guys. So just because we were playing with our timing a little bit and making sure that we got what we needed done, there's a video that we did not play for you that I want to play for you, and I want you to click that button over to the right and get yourself registered. Please understand you can register for Calgary or you can register for Phoenix. I'll even sweeten the deal here. Here's an interesting thought. If you are somebody who is mobile and it is easy, you could actually come to both. I would let you come to both, for goodness sakes. And why you would want to do that if you're saying, well, what if I got the training? Because there will be a different 50, 80, 100 people in each of those rooms. And each of those rooms you will leave with real deals, with real JV partners, with you know, processes on the books. So I would even do both, for crying out loud. So I want you to watch this video. While you're watching the video, click the button, get yourself registered, and we will see you at JVology Live. Roll that little video if you would for me, please.
I came here thinking how to build a JV, having a structure, and what I'm really leaving with is a JV is all about relationship.
When people think of them, sometimes they think, oh, you have to mail each other's list, and it's just how many people, and it's all this numbers game, but it's really not.
JVs are one of the best ways to grow your business just because you can't do it all on your own. You can do so much more in a much shorter period of time, and is really the key step to taking your business just to the next level.
If you've never done joint ventures, if you know nothing about it, you're going to have your mind blown here.
I was blown away by JVology. I have learned so much. What was big for me was the way that Josh and Jay broke down the process from start to finish. Not only was it talking about the course, but it was talking about how to reach out to JV partners, how to structure the offer, what motivates people, the technology pieces. I mean, everything is included in this.
All the different pieces that I need to kind of have in place and ready to present and ready to make easy so that it's just simple for the person I'm asking to support.
Between the talks and the content, just having the time to actually just sit down with people and talk with them, really, if anything, that's probably the more valuable component.
You almost instantly become friends with everybody here. You know?
The people that are here are ready to work with you. They're ready to help you make money. They want to make money. I'll be selling some of their stuff. They're selling my stuff. Like, great return on my investment.
You could be coming out of this event with potentially an extra $60,000 or $70,000 in your pocket just because of that time that's scheduled in between the actual content time.
Business-wise, I leave with 2 speaking agreement, a webinar agreement that I'll be there as a guest.
While I was here, I was making deals right and left. I think I'm walking away with 3 different JV partners with specific launch dates. So this is not as hard as I thought it was. And I'm walking away from the event with JV partners in hand, ready to go.
And leaders always set the tone for an event, and because they come from such a giving heart, so that's all we wanted to do, is to give to one another.
Just learning from Jay and Joshua, it's cool because there's a different dynamic from each of them, getting the mindset, but then combining it with like, this is what it actually looks like on a tangible level, and it's just a perfect marriage of the two.
It was very collaborative. It wasn't a lecture type of environment. I felt like they were talking with me and not at me.
I thought that Josh, he's very charming on stage. He's really knowledgeable, super technical. One thing that I really know truly about Jay is that he cares about what he's doing. He cares about the people that he's putting here, and he wants to make sure that he's really supporting them in every single way possible.
He wants, I believe, success for me as much as he wants success for himself.
Both really smart guys, real genuine, real authentic. I just thought it was phenomenal. I mean, these guys are at the top of their game and they're teaching us exactly the steps that they took to get here. So great event.
To learn how to build a relationship and meet amazing people, come to this event.
It's the best relationship building event I have ever been at.
You know, as they've told us here, together we're better.
Where is the They gave me hope, so I built a dream. They gave me ice, now I got a head of steam.
Alrighty, gang. So I promised we would answer questions, and so we're going to dive in. And quick question. Do you recommend, and I'm just going to go through them as fast as possible. By the way, you can add them here, and I'm going to do my very best to get through them in our time frame. I want to make sure I answer everything that you asked. So the first one is, do you recommend starting JVs for list building or combining efforts to sell a combo product? And the short answer is yes, okay? And why I want you to consider about this is that don't think of a JV as a short-term, one-pronged purpose, okay? So first and foremost, is our joint ventures great for list building? Hell yes. And in fact, here's one of the little pieces that I actually pulled out of our topic for timing is that every single one of you, your business, the blood of your business is a list, is people to talk to, people who've expressed interest in what it is that you offer. For goodness sakes, you must dedicate consistent, regular time, effort, and energy to building your list. So let's think that through. Is like, I could go and I could get one person at a time to opt in for my particular whatever it is. Or I get one person at a time by going out and having coffee with them. Or I could get one person at a time to walk through the front door of my business. But what if we actually thought about that differently and we thought, wait a second, out there right now, this second, my ideal clients are already in a list that somebody else has. They're already joining a community association, and they are our perfect ideal clients. They are already forming groups all over the world through Meetup and a variety of other processes. The question becomes then, how do I utilize those lists in a way that is valuable to the list holder to actually scale my business? So that is point number one. Now, the next piece of this, or combining efforts to sell a combo product. I'm not sure what you mean by a combo product, but that is, if I'm tracking you properly, it's where I have some content, you have some content, we put it together, and we joint sell it. Yeah, that's absolutely one possibility. Generally speaking, and I'm just going to say for the purposes of simplicity, I don't do a bunch of combo products. I don't. If they have a product that fits for my tribe and they deliver great and it's great value, I will promote it to my tribe. If I have a product that is great for their tribe, I ask them to promote it to their tribe and make it worth their while. So the combo products leads to some complication about intellectual property and a variety of things. But could you do it? Hell yes. I know lots of people who have. But generally speaking, at some stage, you've got to then back yourself out of that process. The next one, and Natasha, this was a great question. What are the criteria that need to be in place before someone is JV ready, and will you be covering a trajectory of how to get people ready? So, number one, I love this question, and Natasha, that's part of I love you and your brain, the way that you think. You're a smart and brilliant woman. So I'm going to outline my definition of JV ready. And please understand that this has some variations in terms of online, offline, all of those pieces. But in my world, here's what JV ready means. And we have an advanced program called the JVology Summit, which I'll share a little information with you about it afterwards. But the requirements for the JV Summit is that you show up JV ready, that you have some JV experience. So JV ready to me means, number one, you have a product, you have a program, you have a course, you have a coaching program, you have a live event, you have something that has, please write this down, proven conversions. Proven conversions, proven conversions, proven conversions. Did I mention this crazy thing called proven conversions? You have something that is working in your own list with your own tribe. And you know it's working because you tested it there first. It's completely inappropriate to test it with somebody else's list. So you have a program, product, coaching service, something that has proven conversions. That's number one. Number two, and that means, by the way, that could be the conversion could be at a live event, the conversion could be on a sales page, the conversion could be through a webinar, the conversion could be through a live stream, the conversion could be through a one-on-one call. Doesn't matter what the conversion is, but you have it mastered. So that's step number one. Step number two is you then have a affiliate system in some way, shape, or form. Now, currently we use Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft is sort of like the big daddy of those types of things. But what Infusionsoft does, and a variety of other software programs, is provides a affiliate link so that if we're working together and I'd say, hey, I want to promote you, give me your link, and then I can send that link to my tribe, to my community, and it gets tracked in your system. And transparently, meaning I can log in and see what's going on with that link. You know what's going on with that link. It's a transparent process on both ends. I can see if somebody bought something, all those pieces. That transparent back end is incredibly, incredibly important. But let's be clear about this. Do you need some fancy schmancy, in fact, that's one of the other questions here, piece of software? The answer to that question is no. You could do it with a coupon. You could do it with a registration code. You could do it with a variety of good old paper, old school, tactile processes that are just as effective, Okay, so you need a system to track what occurs. And then you need a compelling way to communicate. So if you're going to have a JV partner, here's the thing. Do as much of the work for them as possible. People are busy. We've got a whole bunch of different things going on. If it isn't our business, it's our families, it's our health, it's our kids, it's our vacations, it's our moms, we got stuff to do. So don't make me work too hard. So give me prepared marketing materials. So give me a flyer if it's old school paper. Give me a landing page, give me a sales page, give me a video, give me something to post on Facebook, all of those pieces. So make it as easy as possible. So you could call that stuff swipe copy, you could call that stuff conversion copy. Make it easy for me to share it on your behalf. And really, that is what JV Ready is. You've got an offer that converts, you've got mechanics and processes that allow me to share it as easily as possible, and you have some form of transparent reporting process that makes that work. That's it. It doesn't need to be any more complex than that. So Natasha, great question. I really appreciate it. And we have Jane, I'm going to be with you momentarily. I just wanted to handle a couple more of the questions. So there was a question, it's been asked in a couple of different ways, and I like how this one is. I have reached out to the big guys in the past and have been ignored. What is different about this? Well, I want to be really clear about this. I can go on a big rant, but I'm going to try and keep it laser, okay? If you're going to reach out to people, you've got to reach out to people in a way that makes you relevant to them, okay? So time and again, and by the way, never do this. I get pitches on Facebook Messenger from people whom I have never met probably 3 times a week. And if you are, by the way, if you ever send me one of those, stop it. If you are sending them to anyone else, for Christ's sake, stop it. That is ridiculous. I could, see, I've said I wasn't going to go on a rant, but I'm about to start. Here's the thing. If you want somebody to support you as a JV partner, do this crazy thing. It's called build a relationship. It's called find out what's really going on. It's called reach out to me. It's called find out what's on my agenda. Find out what I'm working on and find out find out what social causes I'm contributing to. Find out what's important to me. Don't say, I saw your page and this is a perfect list. Or this is a perfect match. And I get looking at it, it has nothing to do with my list in any way, shape, or form. So build a relationship first. Now, the next piece to this is, instead of just reaching out to them, is be valuable. How can you contribute? How can you meet them in person? How can you get in front of them? Because the truth of the matter is, email, Facebook, all those sorts of things, they're super easy to ignore. However, a human being who you like, who has contributed value to you, standing in front of you, very difficult to ignore. It's one of the reasons why you have to get your butt to JVology Live. You're going to be in the room with a bunch of movers and shakers who are ready to do deals. And that's where you want to actually focus. When you can shake somebody's hand, you can give them a hug and say, hey, what are you working on? How could I support you? It's like, great, what are you doing? How could I support you? And the next thing you know, you've got mutual webinars booked and you have access to another 10,000 people, another 50,000 people, another 100,000 people. And just to put it in perspective, at JVology Live, we did a quick little calculation of the access to lists in the room at our last event, and it was over 1 million people. Do you know how hard you have to work to get exposure to 1 million people when you could, quite literally for free, just show up at our place and hang out and build relationships, have a glass of wine, meet cool people, and do some business? That makes a whole bunch more sense. So climb from where you're at, which is don't shoot for somebody you don't know, build on the relationships you have. As you're doing that, you're going to also create value for other people. We're going to talk about our top 10 list as soon as we talk to our dear friend Jane. And by the way, she's one that was on my top 10 list. And Jane, just because we're moving things around, it's not going to be exactly the way we thought it was going to be, but we're going to get at it right away. Okay, I want to make sure that I have not missed anything here, gang. Cool, I'd like to be immersed in an intensive program to learn how to develop a JV launch and a product. So Beth, honest to goodness, step number one, because we do exactly that, and we have a program that is called Joint Venture Mastery. Get your butt to JVology Live if you haven't registered already. We are going to lay an entire foundation there. We're going to go over launch strategy, all those pieces, and if you want more support, we will absolutely step up and do that for you. Let me see if I missed anything else. Kara, I so love this. Back when I was just starting out, I tried the being truthful of my situation, i.e. being broke and starting over. And I'd had a great past experience and new ideas of potential JV partners, but potential partners or JVs ran for the hills. I assume because they saw me as having nothing to give. I don't have to worry about that now, but what advice would you give to somebody in that boat? So I want to be really clear about this, and this is my fervent belief, you can't go wrong with the truth. You cannot go wrong with the truth. Now, if people ran for the hills, I'm not certain that it was because you were being truthful. The question is, you can be broken starting over and still have an incredible amount to contribute. So I have a perception that there was a value mismatch that didn't quite work. I don't think the issue was being truthful. I think that there was a value mismatch. So just to be clear about this, I have gone through ups and downs and peaks and valleys and have had fiascos on wheels where I've picked up the phone and said to people, it's like, you know what? I have myself a little shit show going on here, and I could really use your support. Would you be willing? And it's like, hell yeah, what do you want me to do? Tell me what the list is. Give me the email. I'll send it today, all those sorts of things. So being truthful is not the issue. I think there's a values mismatch there, Kara. But I appreciate you sharing that because sometimes people mistake being truthful for also downloading and dumping, right? And there's a line there that you got to be clear about. But that's a very cool question. Okay. What if you're not in a position to meet them in person? Yes, Australia is far, but you can do it. You can get on a plane. We have clients from all over the world. And by the way, about a year and a half ago, I did 7 trips in about 6 months to Australia, one with a 24-hour turnaround. So it's possible. And flights aren't even that expensive. You get to nap. But on that other note is that face-to-face is absolutely the best. The second best is book a Zoom call, all of those pieces. But the point is invest in getting to know the people, what's important to them, and how you can serve and support them. On that note, one of my favorite human beings on the entire planet, her name is Jane M. Powers. She and I have been JV partners in a variety of different ways. She and I met at our JVology Summit, which is our high-end, exclusive invite-only process where people who are earning strong 6 figures want to break 7 figures, come to hang out, build deals, have some fun, and enjoy one another. And Jane, just to be clear about this, is originally when I did this, it was sort of exclusively Canadian. And Jane became our first token Canadian, and we let her do that because she's a wicked hockey player. So on that note, I'm going to move over to the other spot. And Miss Jane, welcome and thank you for being with us. I truly, truly appreciate it. Hey, how are you?
You're running around with your hair on fire today. I love to see that.
You know, it has been fun and entertaining. We have had a whole different setup, as you can tell, in terms of last time we were here, and I like it a lot. But you know what? I forgot my paper over there with my questions for Jane. You know, you and I could just visit and have a little bit of fun, but I did have some real good questions.
Some value might be good. I don't know.
So how have you been, my dear? You look great.
Good. I was going to mess with you and just do lip sync and be like, can you hear me? And just watch you take off again.
and for those of you who don't know, for the most part, I'm pretty calm about stuff until I'm not. And then when I'm not, it's generally not great for anyone, just to be clear.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
And then Jane makes fun of me. Okay, so so you have been busting your ass doing JVs, working on a variety of processes. You built an entire launch model. We've got a cool event that you and I are both going to be speaking at. I'm curious, if we were to go back in time, what made you attend that very first JVology event? Because, I mean, you called me sort of out of the blue, and it was like, hey, there's this lady who's coming. And it was like, well, I don't know, sort of for Canadians. So what made you decide to do that?
You know, I was trying to think because I knew you were inviting me on, and I thought, how did I even find out about it? I can't even tell you who invited me. I think I was just out there searching for different opportunities because I was doing, and for those of you who don't know, I do a model that is basically, it's quite simple. I speak and then I sell, and I make a lot of money doing that. And I didn't launch, I didn't have JV, and then I don't know, your name must have come across, or somebody said, hey, I'm going to this thing. And I'm like, well, I want to go because I have left out itis. Like, I don't want to be left out. There's got to be something good. So I remember I ended up, I called you, you had to interview me. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie. I probably lied. You probably asked me a bunch of questions. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally JV ready. JV, that was the basketball team I was on freshman year of high school. I don't know what else there was. I was just like, yeah, I know all that stuff. I knew nothing. I just knew that if I can get into a crowd with people that were established, I would go somewhere. And apparently it worked.
So I don't remember the actual content of the interview, what you said back. I do remember I was at an event where I was working on joint ventures that I came out to have the call with you, and it's like, she's funny. I'm going to like her. We're going to have some fun together.
That's all it's about, truly.
Okay, so I love what you said there, and I want to highlight it because I think people miss this all the time. People are looking for this super secret strategy. They're looking for this, like, what's the trick and all the rest of it. But what you said was, if I can get myself into a room of people who are moving and shaking, I'm going to be able to take advantage of that. And over and over again, it boggles my freaking brain why people are at home with their heads stuck in the goddamn computer, learning how to do Infusionsoft, ClickFunnels, copywriting, all that shit. It's like, how about you just go meet some people who have the capacity to build your business? That's a crazy ass idea. Here's one of the things I really love about you is that the simple, practical shit that works, you do, and you do well. So anyway, people, you could learn a lot from Jane. And by the way, speaking, every single one of you, one of the greatest ways to be seen as JV partner is to speak. I don't let me forget to, I want you to tell us about the program coming up in Phoenix as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I might forget. Because I'm so bad at marketing and pitching myself.
Okay, so we've been working together, working on this process of getting JVs together, of getting your what I'm going to call your online and your offline models merged. And I have an assumption that has proven out to be true for a very long time, which is this. In this domain, people don't know what they don't know. You know, because from the outside, it looks all easy, right? It's like, whoa, so somebody sent an email. Oh, they clicked, like, oh, what, how? You know, I remember having this conversation with myself, trying to learn this on my own, which I failed at miserably. It's like, well, I can do that. I've seen the people who are doing it. It cannot be that hard. And then, of course, I failed for 3 years in a row before getting support. So what do you think are some of the biggest things that people don't know they don't know? Because it doesn't look that complex.
Yeah. Oh, it's an illusion. Like that is like even an understatement. I took this on, and granted, we're doing things in a month that most people take 6 months to do. So
or a year.
Maybe not the wisest decision on my part, but I am the most impatient person on the planet, so it works well for me. So I'm going to tell you, when I went to the very first JV Summit in Banff, you guys sent me the form to fill out, and I thought, oh God, I don't have an online program. Remember, I speak and then I sell and I provide the services. So when I got up to the event, everybody's filling this thing out, and I'm like, all right, I got a program. So I filled the program. Like, I did not have a program, people. I filled out the sheet. So I just advise you to be like fully transparent. But I went and I started listening to everyone. And as I listened, I got smaller and smaller because I didn't know two things. One, that I am capable and ready to JV with anyone. But at the time, I thought, well, once I get that, and when I discovered that, and once I hit this mark, that is not true. That is not true. You need the basics, which Jay, you're going to teach them at JVology, but you need the basics. But number one, know you are fully ready to JV partner. You may not get the big, big dogs out there, but quite frankly, you'll be surprised. I've reached out to some of them that are gracious and interested. So number one, you are ready. Number two, get ready. Like, don't fake it. But here's the difference. What they don't know, I believe, unless you have engaged in it, and we quickly gathered a number of JV partners and did our launch, did our live stream with you, Jay. And I had a very small pool of JV partners because I didn't start gathering them till the 11th hour. So start now for the non-11th hour launch. And I'll tell you, I sat back and I thought, man, we should get like, I don't know, 25 people on the live stream. I was excited and delighted. What did we have? 450 some registered people. That was not all on me. That was the JV partners that were committed and dedicated to sending any message out on my behalf. So number one, know you are ready. And number two, get ready. Instead of lying, don't lie. I don't recommend it. I probably didn't lie, Jay.
I'm not going to say a word. So on that note, I want to, because I'd promised the crew here that I would share with them how we went from 0 to 2.4 million bucks in just over a year. And what Jane just said is how we did it. And there's a longer story, and I'll give you more of the details about it at JVology Live. But here's the essence that I want you to understand, is that I was invited to a exclusive joint venture community with Christian Michelson. I was invited actually 2 years in a row that I didn't go because I didn't understand joint ventures and I thought it was stupid. And I had work to do, so I should stay at home. It was like, and by the way, that would like, I make a lot of silly decisions. That's right up there. But when I finally went, it was very clear to me that I, like you, wasn't ready in the digital domain. I'd been doing face-to-face, heart-to-heart, belly-to-belly courses for 25 years. I need to figure out what we're going to do online. But here's what I did, and this is what every single one of you should be doing, is you should get in a plane, on a train, in an automobile, hitchhike, I don't care what you do, get your ass to JVology Live, and when you are there, you identify your top partners. You identify the people that you connect with. You identify the people that there's a great match with what they offer with your tribe or the tribe that you serve. And then here's what you do. You spend 6 months, a year, in my case, a year and a half, supporting them. Building relationship equity, showing up when they ask, doing what is necessary. And then when all of the stuff is ready, exactly as Jana said, you say, hey, would you please? And guess what happens? They all say yes. That's how we got Lisa Sasevich. That's how we got Justin Livingston. That's how we got Christian Michelson. That's how we got all of them, is that we showed up for them. And here's the thing, if there's a flaw in this, and this is one of the things I admire about you, Jane, if there's a flaw in this, people are like, I need my thing done first. I need my thing done first. I'm not ready to JV. I don't have my program. It's irrelevant, for Christ's sake. If you have a business and you have a traffic flow and you have people who need that product, then you become a great partner first. That's the trick to 0 to 2.4. That's the trick. And you just modeled that so well. Anyway, I wanted to build that in at the same time here, my dear. Okay.
But I remember after we were done with the JV Summit up in Banff, I'm like, sure, I'll mail for you. I had a stupid little list, like not stupid, but you know what I mean? In comparison, I had a tiny little list, but I personalized the email. I said, hey, I'm always looking for wonderful things that you can opt into. So I sent that out. I remember I kept watching I think it was PayPal. I don't even remember it. I kept looking and I'm like, is Jay giving me a refund? Why do I have $1,000 in there? And then again, I go, wonder what that is. I kept getting money, and I swear it took me a year to realize that it was from a JV partner. I had literally, I thought, I'm not doing any favors. I haven't done a lap dance. I've done nothing, but I went to that one event. So you will be surprised. And again, it's while you're getting ready, be the best. I was saying in the chat, be the best go-giver, because people will respond to you. Like Justin Livingston, he's not untouchable. The guy is just human. I have gotten 2 responses from him. I've invited him. I say, hey, come to my event, hop on the stage. I want to give to support what's happening in the world, but they have to be aligned. Anyhow, on to you. What were you going to ask me?
Well, I want to just echo something you said about Justin Livingston, is that in this space, he was absolutely one of the most generous people in this whole thing, one of our best partners. I will forever be grateful to him. Much of what we learned came from him being just open and authentic in all those pieces, and I feel the same way. He could have a spot on my stage anytime, any place, anywhere. I would just give it to him for that same reason. But it is about alignment. Okay, so tell us a little bit, because you and I, we've got a whole bunch of joint ventures actually going on. You've spoken on my stage at Mastermind to Millions in the past. You were a brilliant and amazing MC, which I deeply, deeply appreciate, at our last event. But I guess the key piece to this is I am going to speak on your stage at, what is it, September 6th, 8th, or something like that?
Yeah, September 6th, 7th, and 8th.
It's September 6th, 7th, and 8th. Jane's going to be speaking on our stage, has spoken on our stage. And those are a little bit of unusual joint venture partners, or partnerships. Can you just spell out a little bit about how that works for people and how it has served and supported you to get your own large-scale live event up and running and those sorts of things?
And you know, I have never, this is my first event that I have had other individuals on my stage. Prior to this, and I've done 6 live 3-day events, and I worked my tail off filling those events. I'm not kidding. I was running networking. I call them grin and grippers. I was like grin and gripping like throughout the valley, traveling all over the place, begging people, come to my event, come to my event. And when I started to JV, because of working with you and going to the JV Summit, I sat there with what? I don't know, were there 23 people sitting there and said, I've got a book launch, I've got a live event coming up September 6th, 7th, and 8th, plus a live stream, plus a launch. Who will support me? Every hand went up. Like every hand went up and said, I will make it available in my calendar. So that's one way to do it. What happens is Iman, he is on my stage, and you are on the stage, and it is a joint venture. And what you're doing is Tammy Lane will be on the stage. And what it is you're putting out massive feelers, massive magnets to bring people to your event. This event is probably the easiest time I've had filling an event. I mean, the launch and everything else, but it's a matter of connecting. I think Iman and I did a joint venture. I was on his stage. He was on mine the last event. So it's about coming together. Oh, I sort of lied. Last event, we did have 2 outside speakers, but it's about bringing individuals together to work in whatever form that it looks like. It may not be a stage. It may be your launch. I asked for help on a book launch. It's anything that you've got coming up and anything anybody else has coming up. It's just asking, what are you working on, and how do I best support you? And Jay, it took me, I think I went to my first JV Summit 5 years ago. And I am just 5 years. I am just now utilizing JV partners. Didn't know what to do before because I didn't have what I thought was necessary. And boy, I was wrong.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Cool. So I love that. Thank you. So here's the part to this, is that it could happen on a stage. It could happen with a digital program. It could happen with foot traffic. It could happen with a coaching program. It could happen with one-on-one consulting. It can happen any way, shape, or form that your little heart desires. So on that note, our event in Phoenix is coming up at the end of the month. You have a earlier event coming up in Phoenix. Why don't you let the crew know what that is and what's going on with that and all that fun stuff, so that if you are interested in learning how to speak, let me just give a plug here. Is that when I first started selling from stage, my very first event, I had a 60-minute spot, and I paid about $5,000 for the stage. It was pay to play. It was a sponsorship JV piece, and I sold about $5,000. And it was like, not really what I hoped for, but not bad. I worked with my dear friend Jane, and we crafted that same talk. And fast forward, I think it was about 6 months, maybe 7 months, did that same talk. This one was slightly longer. I think it was 75 minutes. And it was $128,000 in sales. That's a substantial improvement. So this woman knows what the hell she's talking about when it comes to speaking. And speaking is a marvelous foundation for creating joint ventures. So if that's in your domain, for goodness sakes, check out Jane. And if you're wondering, it's like, I wonder if they have a joint venture. The answer is, hell yes. Tell them about it, my dear.
Exactly. So I want you just to write this down, or I think you guys are going to put it up there. It is letstalkimpact.com.
Okay, it's on the screen.
And the reason I think it's so important is when you go to a JVology, JV Summit, JV Adventure, I like to call it, if you do not know how to articulate what you do, people are not going to know how to engage with you. So what I'm doing at my event, I do a number of different things. Entrepreneurs hire me to speak with confidence and sell with authority. Doesn't matter if you're JVing, if you're doing your digital program. So what I'm going to do at the event is help you with what I call your intromercial. How do you introduce yourself in 17.5 seconds so that people engage and go, I want to partner with you because I love what you're doing. I'm also going to help people design their talk and do sales. So it's a full monetize your message, but more importantly, you've got to stand in confidence for what you do so that people buy into it. And they're like, that's easy. I know exactly what you do and I am a good fit for you. So if you want to come to the event, and Jay, why don't we, why don't we do this? Do you want me to give a gift? We can do the discount if you want on VIP.
If it's handy, go to town. Let's get her
All
done.
right, let's talk
And by the way,
impact.
by the way, just stop for a sec. So just to be clear about this, that was not planned. And if any of you are wondering, is like, how hard is it to do a JV? Well, you just ask someone and say, hey, could that work? And you just saw one happen here in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and if Jay said no, I'm still going to tell him the URL.
Well, it's already up on the screen, my dear.
Just add Let's Talk Impact VIP.com. That'll give you the opportunity to get a discounted VIP upgrade. And Jay is actually going to be at the event. He is final day. We end at 6. He's at 6:02. So. So it is. That's what I'm up to, doing the live event September 6th, 7, and 8. But plan to be there September 5th. We're doing a coaching intensive. Jay, you're going to be a part of that, and that's going to be a great way for us to demonstrate what a JV partnership looks like, because everybody sitting on that panel will be a part of the JV partnership.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So, my dear, as always, I love hanging out with you. So thank you for being here. I look forward to being there in September. Any of you who want to add, I'm looking at you instead of the camera. Any of you who want to add speaking as part of your foundational piece for your joint ventures, you should absolutely do this. And Warren, my friend, I think let's end this. I'll give you a moment of warning here with the JVology Summit video, because I'm just going to set that up a little bit. So a couple of things, gang. You heard Jane talk about the JVology Summit, and there are some of you who might be on the line who are pretty advanced in the process. You are JV ready. So Natasha, I think that you're fundamentally JV ready. And while I would still encourage you to come to JVology Live, because lots of people come to the summit, come to JVology Live, perhaps what you need is a more exclusive group. Perhaps what you need is a more vetted group. And the JVology Summit is an invite-only, hand-selected group of people who are JV ready, 6-figure earners wanting to go to 7 figures. Probably 10% of the room to 25% of the room are already 7-figure earners. So they're qualified and capable. And Jane, of course, is one of our revisiting members. And you might even see her in the video that's coming up here. So we're going to play a video, then we're going to get out and teach a little bit. But take a moment to watch this. If you are interested in the summit, just let the team on the chat know, and they'll make sure that they get you to the right spot. And Jane, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you again. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
When we think about joint venturing, we often think about people emailing their lists for the products and offerings that we have. But there's so much more to it.
JVology is a great brand, great group of people. Everybody is a heart-centered entrepreneur who cares a lot about their customers, and they deliver great value.
The quality and the caliber of people in this room is amazing.
Every single person in the room is handpicked. They are qualified to be in the room. They are qualified to play.
Because they have proven time and time again to be abundant, powerful players in the marketing spaces, in different businesses, as coaches, as entrepreneurs.
Really genuine people, authentic.
There's a lot of people in the room who have some amazing perspectives.
Every single time I attend one of these JVology summits, I get a ton of value.
I actually am leaving today with promotions booked on other people's calendars. My calendar's full.
I'm convinced that I walked away with $500,000 of revenue just from this event.
3 times when you get to engage with the room. One is you do a pitch to the room of your JV, your joint venture that you want to provide to other people to make money.
Secondly, they get a mastermind, which is an opportunity to bring a pressing problem or a thought or wanting to tap into the genius of the room. If you were trying to engage them individually, they are measured in the thousands of dollars an hour or per part day to kind of tap into that expertise. And you've got 3 days of really getting their feedback around particular problems, issues, etc. And it is unbelievable what comes out of that creation. And then the third area is a gift, a chance to show some appreciation or give a gift of value that might be your genius or something you can contribute back to the group.
having the time for people to understand my business, and that really came out of in between the sessions that we had. So over lunches, over dinners.
More like a retreat and less like a workshop.
So we get out of the classroom, so to speak, and actually get to go out there into the real world.
Yesterday we did iFly, which is you jump in a huge wind tunnel tube and do indoor skydiving, which was pretty cool.
You're hovering in the air and whirling around, and
it was something that most of us were doing for the first time, so it was this shared, awkward, uncomfortable, uncertain experience, and ultimately that brings people together, right? Our fears, our anxieties bring us together into the collective experience, and it allowed us to bond at a level that, again, you normally don't have, because most events don't have that type of experiential component, and I think Jay and Josh did an incredible job in thinking through that.
What I expected, you guys delivered way beyond expectations.
I trust Jay and Josh to cultivate only the best.
Jay has made this event not about him or about the facilitators. It's literally an event where everybody is exchanging information. It's very open, it's very free.
Jay and Josh are seamless.
Josh is focused on the technology piece, on the marketing piece, and Jay has 27 years of experience.
Understanding that business isn't just about use and be used, want 'em, got 'em, need 'em. It's also about who are we being in the world.
I mean, as much as we learned, we laughed, we connected.
All of life, all of business is really about relationships.
if you get an invitation to a JVology summit, it really is a gift, and you'd be foolish not to accept that gift.
It was the piece that my business was missing, and I cannot wait to come back to the next one.
Alrighty, gang, welcome back. Okay, so what I want to teach you next about is what I call your top 10 list. And honest to goodness, your top 10 list is unbelievably important. If I were to say to you, in terms of applying these ideas of joint venturing to shortening this term and getting to what we're really after here, folks, and I want to be so clear about this, is creating a business where you have the fun and the freedom that you desire and deserve. What we're after here, your top 10 list on its own. Your top 10 list on its own can accomplish this, not just in the time frame that you'd set, but even faster. I give you my word. So I want to let you, or ask you to do this. Here it is. To get your pen and paper out, to get your fingers to keyboard, and we're going to talk about your top 10 list and how I want you to start your top 10 list. Now, please here, obviously, you're not limited to 10. However, I love starting with 10, particularly if you're relatively new to this process. So, your top 10 JV partners. And I want you to be clear about this. And I don't know what your current sales are. I don't know what your current income is. I don't know what your current profit is. But here's what I can tell you, is that I have individual JV partners currently that drive more sales to my business than I was able to do on my own 4 years ago prior to starting joint ventures. And I'll just put dollars and cents to that. Is I transformed my business from, you know, bricks and mortar, heart to heart, all those sorts of things. We were doing about $2.2 million in the Alberta market. We went online without JV partners, and that plummeted to about $250,000. It was painful, it was difficult, and I kept trying to do it on my own. But fast forward a couple of years, I now have individual JV partners that exceed that $250,000 in terms of what they drive as sales for us. All of the stuff I did on my own, all of the stuff that I worked on for a year is exceeded by a JV partner. And there's more than one of those that do that. So I want you to really understand, when I say your top 10 JV partners list and how important this is perhaps more important or more significant dollars and cents wise than all of the money that you are currently earning. So just think that through for a moment. This list could be more important than all of the money that you're currently earning. So when I want you to go through this, I want you to truly focus on it. So number one, your top 10 list, and you can start there, you can make it a little bit bigger if you like, I'm okay with that, is going to consist of 3 categories. And what I would do is this, is I would divide it like 3, 3, and 3, and then you got a wild card, is what I would do. So first and foremost, who are your existing, please hear this, because most people go, well, I don't have any existing JV partners sometimes. Who are your greatest existing clients, and who are your greatest existing suppliers? Okay, just who are your greatest existing clients, who are your greatest existing suppliers? Because the honest goodness truth is, in that list alone, I'm going to wager that you have 3 at least fantastic JV partners. So let me give you an example. I remember when I started using Infusionsoft. So I started using Infusionsoft, and honest to goodness, it was daunting and it was challenging, it was difficult, and I had to hire some people to take care of a bunch of pieces. And then when it was set up, it was like this, you know, choir of angels singing. And just for fizz, I won't sing again. But it was absolutely amazing. But what occurred was this big leap that I took suddenly became one of my absolute greatest joint venture partners. They are at almost every single one of my events. They have been sponsoring a variety of our educational processes. We rely on one another on a consistent and regular basis. They were a supplier that became a great JV partner. Beginning to understand? Now, I also had a client, and a variety of my clients, by the way, and I could give a very long list. Jane would be a great example of. She was a fantastic client that became a JV partner. So in this list, even if you don't have any JV partners yet, you're going to do your existing clients, your existing suppliers, and you're going to look for your top 3. I trust that makes sense. Now, we're going to broaden the circle. And you can honestly think about this almost like a target at times. Now, the next 3 are going to be people that I said you have good access to. And that might sound a little bit silly, but what I want you to understand is this, is that there are a variety of people that are just perhaps one step removed from you. And I'm going to use the Jane and Justin example again. So Justin's a decent friend of mine. Jane's a great friend of mine. We've been traveling in some circles. It's an easy thing for me to do a quick introduction and a quick endorsement, all those pieces. So Jane had good access to Justin. It was simple, clean, and easy. And if you think about who knows who, 1 step removed, 2 steps removed, that you can, that's why I was carrying this moments ago. I'm going to put it there so we don't lose our spot. If you think about that from that perspective, there is a whole bunch of people that you have not yet really been working with, but they are not too far away. So we've got to figure out, how do we get in touch with them? And please hear this, how are we going to create value for them? Okay, how are you going to create value for them? Now, by the way, this, going back to this whole thing, the Jane and Justin, guess where they first met and where I helped do a little introduction? At one of my events where they were both speaking. Okay, so this is why you've got to get out of the house. You've got to get to events. You've got to get in the orbit of the people that you want to connect with. So good access. I want you to make a list of like 10 people, and then you start asking for introductions. Then you start reaching out. Then you start saying, hey, we met at such and such. Hey, I saw you talk at such and such. And you start figuring out how you can get that, 1 step removed to be 1 step connected so that we can begin to work with and for them. And then, this list would be grossly incomplete, and this is where I see people make a mistake every time, which is, who are the big fish? In your world, who are the big fish? Who are the people that your brain goes like, oh man, I don't know how I'd get to them? Or they have the perfect list, or they're too big, or. Who are the big fish? Now, I don't care who the big fish are, but I need you to understand something, which is this. Every single one of us, little fish, minnow, tadpole, shark, what is it, the megalodon, the big fish, that whatever it is, they are not unreachable. They have some of the same problems you do, which is, how do I provide my clients with the value and the contribution that they need? And you are going to make a list of them, and you are going to reach out to them and start creating, please hear this, you're not reaching out, it's like, hey, would you send me to your list? That's not what you're going to do. You're going to reach out to them, you're going to find out what they're working on. You're going to find out how you could serve and support them. You're going to see how you could feature them. You're going to give them a spot on on a webinar. You're going to give them something that is of value. You must become relevant to them. And if you are not relevant to them, nothing will happen. Nothing. Okay, another bit of content in relationship to this list, okay? So, and then, I didn't write this, but I will say it. Wild card, because you're looking for 3, 3, 3, 1. And by the way, sometimes those wild cards are absolutely amazing. And that's where you just stay open. You go looking at different events, different processes, different programs, different groups, different communities, associations, all those things. You're looking for that little magic little match that is just off the chart. Okay, now let's talk about how to think about who should be on that list. So you've brainstormed a whole bunch of those pieces. Let's look at it from this perspective. And this, I'm going to call it the client journey. So your client, whether you like it or not, is on a journey. And we're going to put you dead center in this process here. We're going to say this is you. Now, you have great value, you have great contribution, you have great service, you have great products, you have great everything, and your clients need you, love you, and want you. However, most of us are so fundamentally myopic in our view, we're just thinking about us. But I want you to stop thinking about you long enough to start thinking about your client's journey. And I want you to really give some serious consideration to this. Before your client needs you, who are they working with and what are they buying? Before. So this is before. Because the honest God truth is, there is a natural progression of issues. There's a natural progression of processes. There's a natural progression of evolution in somebody's business and life that leads up to you. Now, you might be, and I'm just going to make this up, a parenting coach. Let's say you're a parenting coach. With my great example with my 8-year-old, it's like you might think you have a prospect here. But let's imagine you're a parenting coach. There are a whole variety of pieces that must happen before you become relevant to me. One of which is I probably need to have some kids. I might have to have some issues with my kids. I might want to actually say, hey, I'm not really interested in just raising, you know, another self-righteous entitled North American kid. I actually want to raise a child that has some social consciousness in the world, whatever the case may be. But if you start thinking about what has to happen first, then it becomes easy. So, for example, in this circumstance, if you were a parenting coach, perhaps you might have some sort of a JV partner with a psychologist that does assessments for learning disabilities or for gifted abilities. You might have a JV partnership with private schools. So if somebody's willing to spend the money to actually send their kids to a private school, they might also be interested in actually doing a better job as parents in terms of the consciousness, the awareness, and the heart that they want to instill in their children and in their family. So there's a whole bunch of things that could happen before, that the clearer you are, here's what happens. You cut a deal with them where you are going to incent them time and money and energy to say, hey, the next step in this client's journey is me. Why don't you send them my way and I will reward you? Because it's faster, easier, and better for me to do this with a perfectly qualified and matched client than it is to go out and do Facebook ads or some other silly thing. I'm happy to pay you. And you get to make money doing what is going to happen naturally, which is your client is going to move on. Now, and I'm going to come back to that in a brief moment. So this is before. Now we have, let's use this in blue. Now we have after. And I know you may not want to believe this or you may not want to acknowledge this, but there's going to come a time where your client says, yeah, I've got what they have. You know, I've learned it, I've been there, I've heard it before, I know what it is, I got it. I need to move on. I need someone of higher caliber. I need someone with greater reach. I need somebody, blah, 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 blah. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. So you might as well, instead of doing what many coaches, consultants, people do, which is try to cling on to a client, instead of doing that, shift from that perspective of, I want to be their service provider, to you want to be their trusted advisor that says, when you are done with me, after what you are going to need is. And let's just imagine this was private schools, this was parent coaching. At this stage of the game, that could be anything from educational planning. Well, and let me just go back to this. When they're done with you, who do they need? What are they going to buy? What are they evolving towards? You've got to answer that question. So let's imagine that you had a JV with private schools, you're doing a parenting coach, and maybe there's a joint venture that has something to do with adventure programs, university, university preparation, tutors, any of that realm. You know, there's a school in Calgary called The Edge. A bunch of my dear friends, their kids are physically gifted, so they go to The Edge. You could have any sort of process there. And by the way, it doesn't matter what you is. I just use parenting coach for fun and entertainment. But there is a before, there is a during, and there's an after. And you reward the people, just to be clear about this, you reward the people for before because they're going to send them your way. And these people pay you because you're doing exactly the same thing. And when you begin to think about your business from this perspective, the honest to goodness truth is this, and I want you to hear this, is that you have the capacity to actually make even greater money after they're not your clients than when they were, and to do so working less. So if we have this contextual shift, and at JVology Live, there's an entire workbook and process and exercise and activity where we step you through this so you know exactly how you're going to approach this. You know exactly what the programs are. You know exactly what the invitation is, and you can begin to, number one, acquire clients at a much more efficient and consistent manner, and serve and support your clients at a higher level and make more money in the end. I trust that makes sense to you. I got to get back in there and we will jump on your Q&A and make sure that we haven't missed any of the questions and the answers. If there's anything related to this piece or the list, I want you to know that. And by the way, let me just blend those two things so you didn't lose that. I asked you to do your top 10 list. Obviously, you've got your existing suppliers, your existing clients. Some of the people that are one step removed, some of the big fish. All well and fine. What I want you to understand in the 10 is that you're probably going to have a whole bunch that are before you, you're going to have a whole bunch that are after you, and it would behoove you to know which is which. Does that make sense? We'll talk more about it at JVology Live and we'll elucidate all of those pieces. But these two ideas well executed, 6 figures, your bottom line, in the couch cushions of PayPal coming your way. All right, we're going to go back inside and see how your questions are making out. All right, are we back? We are. I'm just going to check a little bit here on the list to make sure we have not missed anything, gang. All right, we're doing okay for questions. Not bad. Okay, there are a couple more that had been sent in earlier that I want to just address real quick. And then, where did they go? Bear with me one momento. Yes. A consistent question we get asked in a variety of different ways that I want to address really clearly. Do I need a big list to joint venture? And the answer to that question is hell no. You absolutely do not. And I want to be very clear about this, is that there's the online and the offline and then the combined. I'm a big fan of the combined because we're now in 2018. And to not track a client and to not capture their information is the same as, killing your business with 1 million paper cuts. Okay, that's really what that is. It's completely insane to not capture. So I'm a big fan of both. But I want to be clear about this, is that a small list is a great place to start. And if you do this well, you're going to end up with a large list. But one of the excuses I hear time and time again is this idea that I can't do this because I have a small list. That's BS. You climb from where you're at. So if you have a list of 100 people, then you start joint venturing with your list of 100 people. I'm willing to bet that there are 100 people that know you, like you, love you, want more of you. So use them in that process and support them with what they need. So that's point number one. Point number two is, in a bricks and mortar JV, you don't need a list at all. So I want to share an example. If you haven't seen it, I did a little case study about it. We were on holidays in Whistler, and we came across a great JV, which is called Dinner and a Movie. A theater and a restaurant came together for dinner and a movie for 20 bucks. And it was a brilliant JV. Same building these two businesses are in, but two different owners. The restaurant had unused capacity for the kitchen because they'd become kind of like a locals bar thing, but they still had a kitchen. And of course, as most theaters have, empty seats. So they came together for a very simple process. You come to the restaurant, you buy dinner, you get coupons. You go to the theater makes you change the coupons at the concession, which means you still end up buying buying crap for the movie because the restaurant doesn't feed you dessert. And they have a beautiful JV. Now, they have no list. Neither of those businesses captures names in all those pieces. Zero list, and they have an incredibly profitable joint venture. So don't let that be a deterrent. So that's number one. At JVology Live, I need to tell you, we do something called the evolution of the list because people are still, I think, stuck in what I'm going to call affiliate marketing model for JVs. And that is just one tiny spot of it, okay? There's so much more to this that we can build into any business model under the sun. The next piece is, do I need expensive software? And the answer to that question is hell no. You do not need expensive software. You can get started with a printed coupon for half a cent. This is not complex, and the barrier to entry is your capacity to get out and to meet people and to figure out the match. There's no barrier to entry here, for goodness sakes. Now, as you scale, are you going to want some great systems and some ease for that process? Yes, you are, but it is not a barrier to entry by any stretch of the imagination. Those things are pretty good. I think we're in good shape. This is a good one. Do people really leave JVology Live with JV partners? The answer is hell yes. One of the key takeaways at JVology is that we teach you how to do a joint venture invitation. You will craft what we call a one sheet, and you will have opportunities throughout the entire weekend to present that one sheet with individuals, at tables, hell, from the main stage, so that you can have exposure to every single person in the room. You will leave with real JV partners and real deals done. The only way that wouldn't happen is if you're a bump on a log and asleep at the wheel and your head in the sand. Like you'd have to try hard not to get a partner, in my humble opinion. So absolutely, we deliver on those pieces. Okay. Angelica, come back to Canada. Come back to Canada. You will love it in Canada. We'd love to see you again. And it's pertinent for what you're building, Angelica. And the whole idea of joint ventures and masterminds weave together so perfectly. All right, gang, those are those pieces. We have jumped over that. I have a quick case study that I want to share with you with a dear friend of mine, Linda Kane. So we're going to scoot back over to the Zoom spot, the red chair, and Linda and I are going to have a brief chat. She just left. Oh, apparently not. That's okay. We're juggling Linda for a brief moment. So, shifting gears. As you're considering, should I come to Canada, in Angelica's case, should I participate in the JVology Summit, should I integrate joint ventures into my business? To me, there are three questions that you must answer in terms of, really, am I going to do this? The first of which is this: are you truly and honestly ready to leave this, basically successful but cash poor entrepreneurial trap in the past? Are you really willing to let that go? Or are you still stuck in, I got to work hard, it's got to be difficult, a little bit of the martyr number that many entrepreneurs do? And if you're ready to let that go, you must joint venture. It's the fastest, easiest way. That's point number one. Point number two is, can you lead with contribution? Can you truly lead with contribution? And this means, even if you're in that trapped spot and it feels like compressed and contracted and a little scarcity, can you lead with abundance? And if you can truly lead with abundance and lead with contribution, absolutely, you are ready. And then number three is this: will you follow through on what you said you would do for your partners? Will you follow through on what you said you'd do for your partners? And if the answer to those three questions is yes, I give you my word, you will grow your business substantially. In some cases, hundreds of %, but you will grow your business substantially by simply being in the room for 3 days and participating in the roadmap. So if you're on the fence, those are the three things you got to consider. Linda's back. We're going to go have a quick visit with her, and I'm going to share with you a great, what I would call bricks and mortar case study. We'll see you over there. Hello, my dear. How are you? Thanks for juggling with our timing and all those things. How have you been? She can't hear me, apparently, so we're not quite all the way there. But while Linda is getting, and Linda, we've done this 3 times. I'm guessing that that's on your end, so you probably want to check your email. You probably want to check your audio, because our end is good. We've done it for a couple of times. So just check your own stuff, and I don't think she can hear any. There we go. We got you. Have you got me?
We were there.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Help me, Mia.
Okay.
It's not letting me hear anything. How do I do to speak?
Hello, Mia. So while they're fiddling with their audio, what I want to do is this, I want to just talk a little bit about some of the considerations that people have. Hello. Have we got you now? I can hear you.
Can't hear a thing.
Okay. Testing, testing, testing. We're gonna, I'm gonna tell people a little bit about Linda while that's going on here. So Linda is a dear friend of mine. She and Mia, who I don't know if you're gonna see in a moment or two, they work together in an event company, which is called Blue Diamond. And Linda held my hand and guided me through an incredibly daunting process of my first large-scale live event, which we marketed, we filled, and we educated primarily through joint ventures. And Linda has been with me now, I'm going to say 3.5 years, maybe 4 years, in that role of organizing events, booking rooms, helping set up sponsors for everything from tables to speakers to all those things. So one of the things that struck me is, number one, Linda works hard. She knows great people. She puts a bunch of key pieces together. And Linda has been setting up these events now, oh goodness, I don't know, for like 10 years. One of the largest expenses in putting on a live event is AV. And if you've ever gone to a hotel, if you've ever wanted to rent a projector, or you've ever wanted to rent a screen, or hell, an easel, and that easel is absolutely, an easel that costs $50 at Staples will only cost you $220 a day to rent at the hotel. So anyway, Linda was at one of the JVology summits, and we were talking about it. It's like, you know what, with the amount of people that you go through, why don't you just own that equipment? And it's like, well, I'm not sure I'm ready for that and all of those pieces. So here's what we did. And I want you to understand the beauty of a great joint venture and this goes back to what we were just talking about, your top 10 list of what do people need before, what do they need during, what do they need after. So every single one of her clients needs to rent gear or provide their own gear for their live event. So we came up with a great JV, and I so love this structure, and it's so fantastic, which is this. I bought the gear. I need the gear. By the way, I use that gear 4 times a year, and last year that probably cost me in terms of rentals about $60,000 bucks. I need that gear. So I can just buy it outright and then use it myself. It'll pay for itself probably in the first 2 events. And what occurs is now Linda, she houses the gear, she stores the gear, she ships the gear, and she provides that gear to all of her clients on a rental process. And we simply split that income. Now, depending upon who sources that deal, that income is split on a different basis. But that is a perfect example of, in every single one of your businesses, there is something that you're consistently purchasing. There is something that you're consistently spending money on. There's something that would require, or could, require, a different way of thinking about it, that instead of, for me, a $60,000 expense, that's going to be about a $120,000 income point to me, and it's going to add probably another 100, maybe depending upon how that deal goes, but another $100,000 of income for Linda, all for doing what we were normally doing, but simply making a small capital investment up front. So I'm not really sure why Linda's audio isn't working, and we're not going to spend too much time about it, but she was going to tell that story, but now I told the story. Is audio back? Okay, you can hear me now. You can or you can't, my dear. The voices in your head were getting to you. Okay, so.
Two.
Okay, too funny. Okay, so Linda, I just actually shared our background in terms of our business together. I was just sharing the deal that we had cut in terms of the joint venture for, we're just getting your video up so we can see you. The deal that we did together in terms of the gear. So why don't you just, and I've told a bunch of it, but why don't you just share a little bit about your background, a little bit of what you do, what your thoughts were about joint venturing when we decided we were going to do something a little bit unique with this gear, and just share your perspective of that. And hopefully it's not too much repetition, given that she didn't hear all the stuff I said.
That's okay. Sometimes it's good if we hear it twice. So I've been in business for 15 years, doing mostly entrepreneurs, coaches, live event. And I have been my experience that the AV portion of it is so expensive, and so complicated. And the hotels use it as an upsettle. And so they often charge 3 times the value. And so I've always been looking for the best deal for my clients.
It's one of the things I really appreciate about you. I was just saying that's one of the things that's one of the things I really appreciate about you.
Oh, thank you. That and the hotels, trying to get the best deal out there. So anyway, the idea of coming together with you, as you probably already said, this last venture that we had, it was so difficult pulling together an AV team and pulling together AV at a good cost that we just decided 3 days ahead of an event to order it and own it. And that was wild. We had deliveries coming in every hour at the hotel.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. However, at the end of the day, with great people, it worked out.
But the thing that's really fun about that is that now it's in a box, ready to go.
Yes.
So nobody else has to deal with that.
Which is beautiful.
And
so
I've been to several of your joint venture JVology events, and also the summit. And one of the things that I have loved about them is that while you're not maybe exactly ready for a JV partner, the people that you meet, the process that you learn about, and everything that is around it sets you up. So when you're ready, it just sort of is there and you walk into it. And that's sort of what happened to us.
Great example. And I think that is one of the key lessons, and virtually all of the guests that we've talked about, is that there was foundation that led to a deal that happened quickly and easily when it happened. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people try to push stuff a little bit too fast and too far, and it gets a little bit wacky. It's like, but at the time where we said, yes, we're going to do this in 3 days, and we'll cut a JV deal in terms of how we use the equipment, that was based on years of working together and trust and faith, mm-hmm. and we just knew we would make it happen, even if stuff was being delivered hourly. So I really appreciate that. So I have a quick question, because our timing has gotten a little bit wacky on us, which never happens, as you know, from our live events.
Never.
So what do you think holds people back from really pursuing JVs to scale their business? Because I mean, you see more people in live events, in opportunities for joint ventures, and joint ventures that go great and go awry. You probably have your finger on the pulse and see more deals than the vast majority of humanity, which is one of the reasons why, number one, I wanted to share our example as a case study, but I think you mm-hmm. might have a process that doesn't quite, how do I put it? You might see things more as they are, not how people want them to be seen, is what I'm trying to say.
Got it.
So what do you think keeps people from doing that?
Well, there's 3 things that I see. The first thing is people think they have to be ready. They think that there's some process. They either have to have an amount of money set aside, or they have to have a concept design, and they think that they have to be ready, which is not the case at all. They just have to be open and willing.
Yep.
The second thing that I see is that people are a little bit of afraid. Maybe they've been burned by someone, or they haven't had a good experience, or they tried to have a partner in something, and so they're a little gun shy. Mm-hmm. So showing them how they can go about it in a more simple process that's more secured is basically what the JVology training is about.
Yep.
And how to find the right person. And then the third thing that keeps them, that I see, is just that fear. I don't know if it's a fear, but the idea that entrepreneurs think they have to do it by themselves. And they have to have it all ready to go. And I was that way in the earlier part of my business. I felt like I had to do it all by myself. And you know, but now it's like, what can I give away? Make room for other things that I love.
Well put. So I love those three things, and it's exactly true. And I've gone through all of them. And I think that all accumulates to some degree of maturity in our business and maturity in how we select and engage with our JV partners. I love that. Okay, last question, and then we're going to hustle. So if somebody is watching and they haven't committed to attending JVology Live yet, what would you say to them?
Sign up and get there. What are you waiting for? Seriously, I've seen a lot of people do joint ventures, and this is the one place where it's so open, it's so laid out. Any questions that you have will be answered. The people are amazing. The community is amazing. And I think they should just seriously sign up, come. They won't regret it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, on that note, that's why we remove all of the barriers, which is you can come do it for free. So test us at our word, and we will exceed what we said that we were going to do for you. So, Linda, I really appreciate you making time and juggling with the technology and all those things. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and cheers to a fabulous new joint venture that will both save us time and money and make us time and money.
Love it.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you, Jay.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, gang. So I'm going to move back to my computer, and we're going to wrap this thing up. So on that note, gang, dun, 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 welcome. On that note, gang, we are on our home stretch, and Blue Diamond Event Management. Fizz, the multitask master. Yeah, we got a couple of things going on with live production. There's no question about that. So what I want to do is this, is I want to implore you, invite you, well, I guess in some way, shape, or form, we're also bribing you about getting your butt into the JVology roadmap. And if you would do me a favor, and the button is up for register now? Okay. Beautiful. So that button is up, and just click the thing for goodness sakes. But when you click it, this is what you're going to see. And if you would bring up my screen, that would be fantastic. It is going to take you to a page, and that page is going to say JVology. JVology Live, Calgary, September 21st to 23rd, or Phoenix, September 28th to 30th. You'll see this little area here. It says important, which city will you attend? And I want to tell you, you should pick that so we can get you on the proper registration list, but I will let you attend both if you wanted to, so that you could actually get exposure to a whole variety of different people in 2 different countries that could help you scale and grow your business. Now, of course, what you get is a ticket to JVology Live. If you did nothing else, that would be worth its weight in gold, and is worth literally 5 times, well, if you're paying nothing, I guess it's worth a hell of a lot more than that, but it's well worth it, let's put it clearly. Now, in addition to that, we want you to hit that event ready, really moving and shaking. So you get 4 additional bonuses. Bonus number 1 is this. You get access to the JV Masterclass, How to Find and Approach Ideal JV Partners. Now that masterclass is going to step you through exact strategies, sentences to use, how you do it, what your energy is, how you get a great introduction. Like, it is phenomenal, and you want to watch that before you get to the event. Now the next thing you're going to get is the 14-day JV Success Roadmap Program. It's an email-based training course. You're going to get a little video and a little action that you're going to go through every single day for 14 days. Honest to goodness, if you just did that 14 days and you actually did it, that would add significant cash to your bottom line. You will also get 2 live coaching calls. They are going to step you through that 14-day program, and the day before the event, you are going to get our pre-event mastermind. And if we can bring my head back up, that would be fantastic. You can get the pre-event mastermind. So at the pre-event mastermind, what we do is the movers and shakers who come together early, we come together and we brainstorm and mastermind what it is that we want to create. I'm going to give you a little hint. This is something that I don't usually say about what happens there, because it's a pleasant surprise, but I really want you, if you are still watching and you have not clicked the button, for crying out loud, click the button. One of the things that you may not know is this. Some of the biggest names in marketing, names that, you know, Frank Kern, Brendan Burchard, some of the big heavy hitters, what you may not know is this, is that way before internet marketing and joint venturing was even a thing online, They were at an internet marketing workshop in Los Angeles, hanging out in the bar afterwards, talking about how is this going to work? Could this work? What does this mean? How would our businesses do it? All the rest of it. But they created a little group and they agreed that they were going to support one another. And they became literally a little joint venture mastermind / syndicate that says, you got something going on? I'll help. When I got something going on, you help. And what they literally did was built the foundation for strong 7- and 8-figure businesses over a glass of wine in the lounge after this internet marketing piece. So here's one of the key takeaways. You may or may not know one of my key businesses is Mastermind to Millions. At JVology Live, we are going to teach you and show you and step you through how to create your own little JV syndicate mastermind. That one process, if none of this other stuff worked, if none of it worked, that one process is going to transform your business over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. You'll look back and go, why the hell didn't I do that before? It's because you didn't know how and what the structure was. We'll teach you. You'll actually do it while you were there. We will demo it. We will give you the tools. You will start building it. You will leave with members of your syndicate from that event. That one thing makes this entire thing worth it. Now, what I need to remind you as well, once you put all the little pieces in and put your payment in and all that fun stuff, is that you are going to get invited to participate in the VIP. The VIP is what we call a one-time offer, which means VIP is usually $397 for early bird, $14.97 for regular. You can do it today for $297. The honest to goodness truth is it costs me more than $297 to actually feed you for 3 meals, give you the vino, give you the special events, all those pieces. Like it's a wicked deal. So if you want to go VIP, hang out with the people who are, at a significant level in terms of this JV world. Have lunch with them, have extra speakers, have extra support, get a little bonus package, all those pieces. For goodness sakes, click that button and make sure you go VIP. You will be thrilled that you did. I think those are the biggies that I wanted to share with you. How do I put this? I'm trying to say it nicely and I don't have a nice way to say it. So I'm just going to say it how I speak, which is not necessarily always nice. The internet marketing world, the live event world, the coaching training business, there's a lot of stuff out there that frankly is not grand. It's overpriced, it's underdelivered, and I find it disappointing and frustrating. As clear as I can say it. And many, many, many times, the programs, the testimonials, the structure, the steps by which it is delivered simply don't work. They're too complex, they're too cumbersome, there's too much additional capital investment, it just doesn't work. And what I want to say to you is this works. It absolutely transformed my life and my business. It can absolutely transform yours. And if you're wondering, it's like, can I do it? Well, I don't know. Can you be kind to someone? Can you shake their hand? Can you give them a hug? Can you follow through on the simplest of things saying, hey, let's host each other on Facebook Lives. Hey, I'd love for you to deliver some value to my tribe through a webinar. Hey, would you show up at my event? Hey, you can have a sponsorship table at my little monthly meeting. There are a million ways. If you can do that, let us teach you the system, let us teach you the process, let us help you get through the bumpy spots so that you become known as one of those great JV partners who keeps their word, who delivers the right people, who is always there when you're needed. And that, my friends, as our world continues to change, as the internet marketing world continues to change, as the retail world continues to change, as the bricks and mortar world continues to change, people knowing who you are, your stand, and how you serve and support your clients and your partners, that is worth its weight in gold. That's what we stand for. The JVology Live slogan and the entire theme is, we are better together. And that is absolutely true. We are better together. So, from the bottom of my heart, I want you to come to Calgary. I want you to come to Phoenix. And I want you to truly, genuinely come with a grounding of contribution, with an openness to learn, and with a dedication to break free of that trap of marginally successful but cash poor, so that you have the fun and the freedom that I and a multitude of my partners have. I want that for you. Click the button, my friends. Get yourself registered. My team is on the chat. They'll be there to support you and answer any questions that you have in terms of this entire process. But get yourself registered, and I'm going to ask you, we've got 2 other videos that I want you to watch. And if we could start with the JVology Live Ian one, is that possible? Could we do that one? Yeah. So a dear friend of mine, NJV partner, Ian Garlic, I've been on his podcast a bunch of times. He's been a member of our community for, oh goodness, about a year and a bit now. He produced this as a gift to me, that whole thing of, you know, joint venturing is a game of, I'll go first. He produced this as a gift for me, which I deeply appreciate. Thank you, Ian. So watch this, click the button, get yourself registered, and let us exceed your expectations at JVology Live. I will see you soon, and I look forward to supporting you as a partner. We'll make it happen. We'll see you at JVology Live. Play us out, and we are done.
Every single person I've met here wants to help me grow.
These people sell ideas and concepts.
The level of people in the room was so far above what I was expecting.
Who knows how much thousands of dollars I just received just being here and profit.
They're not trying to force you into the product, they're trying to guide you through your product.
Oh my gosh, the access that I've had to individuals that I wouldn't have had otherwise, to me is my immense takeaway.
The thing that probably attracted it to me in the first place was community.
It was nice to come here and find people that were already in a mode of generosity and abundance and supporting each other rather than trying to convince them to support each other.
Well, and that's one of the things I've really noticed about Jay Facette, is he just attracts people who are generous, people who are heart-centered, people who come from a mindset of abundance, not a mindset of scarcity.
They're like, okay, here's a tip for you, here's a tactic for you, here's a strategy for you. I wouldn't have gotten that anyplace else.
There's a lot of people that are smarter than me who've been through what I'm going through, who have learned the lessons that I have learned and I'm probably going to learn.
I'm so excited to get into the next JV Summit, to just be in that room with those people, with that community, with that abundance, with that generosity, with those people.
To lean on the wisdom and the experience of those who've walked the path before me, I think is important.
I found that the value that the people in the room brought was something like I'd never experienced before.
I came here thinking how to build a JV, having a structure, and what I'm really leaving with is a JV is all about relationship.
When people think of them, sometimes they think, oh, you have to mail each other's list and it's just how many people and it's all this numbers game, but it's really not.
JVs are one of the best ways to grow your business just because you can't do it all on your own. You can do so much more in a much shorter period of time and is really the key step to taking your business just to the next level.
If you've never done joint ventures, if you know nothing about it, you're going to have your mind blown here.
I was blown away by JVology. I have learned so much. What was big for me was the way that Josh and Jay broke down the process from start to finish. Not only was it talking about the course, but it was talking about how to reach out to JV partners, how to structure the offer, what motivates people, the technology pieces. I mean, everything is included in this.
All the different pieces that I need to kind of have in place and ready to present and ready to make easy so that it's just simple for the person I'm asking to support.
Between the talks and the content, just having the time to actually just sit down with people and talk with them, really, if anything, that's probably the more valuable component.
You almost instantly become friends with everybody here.
The people that are here are ready to work with you. They're ready to help you make money. They want to make money. I'll be selling some of their stuff. They're selling my stuff. Like, great return on my investment.
You could be coming out of this event with potentially an extra $60,000 or $70,000 in your pocket just because of that time that's scheduled in between the actual content time.
Business-wise, I leave with 2 speaking agreement, a webinar agreement that I'll be there as a guest.
While I was here, I was making deals right and left. I think I'm walking away with 3 different JV partners with specific launch dates. So this is not as hard as I thought it was. And I'm walking away from the event with JV partners in hand, ready to go.
And leaders always set the tone for an event, and because they come from such a giving heart, so that's all we wanted to do, is to give to one another.
Just learning from Jay and Joshua, it's cool because there's a different dynamic from each of them, getting the mindset, but then combining it with like, this is what it actually looks like on a tangible level. And it's just a perfect marriage of the two.
It was very collaborative. It wasn't a lecture type of environment. I felt like they were talking with me and not at me.
I thought that Josh, he's very charming on stage. He's really knowledgeable, super technical. One thing that I really know truly about Jay is that he cares about what he's doing. He cares about the people that he's putting here, and he wants to make sure that he's really supporting them in every single way possible.
He wants, I believe, success for me as much as he wants success for himself.
Both really smart guys, real genuine, real authentic. I just thought it was phenomenal. I mean, these guys are at the top of their game and they're teaching us exactly the steps that they took to get here. So great event.
To learn how to build a relationship and meet amazing people, come to this event.
It's the best relationship building event I have ever been at.
You know, as they've told us here, together we're better.
When we think about joint venturing, we often think about people emailing their lists for the products and offerings that we have. But there's so much more to it.
JVology is a great brand, great group of people. Everybody is a heart-centered entrepreneur who cares a lot about their customers, and they deliver great value.
The quality and the caliber of people in this room is amazing.
Every single person in the room is handpicked. They are qualified to be in the room. They are qualified to play.
Because they have proven time and time again to be abundant, powerful players in the marketing spaces, in different businesses, as coaches, as entrepreneurs.
Really genuine people, authentic.
There's a lot of people in the room who have some amazing perspectives.
Every single time I attend one of these JVology summits, I get a ton of value.
I actually am leaving today with promotions booked on other people's calendars. My calendar's full.
I'm convinced that I walked away with $500,000 of revenue just from this event.
3 times when you get to engage with the room. One is you do a pitch to the room of your JV, your joint venture that you want to provide to other people to make money.
Secondly, they get a mastermind, which is an opportunity to bring a pressing problem or a thought or wanting to tap into the genius of the room. If you were trying to engage them individually, they are measured in the thousands of dollars an hour or per part day to kind of tap into that expertise. And you've got 3 days of really getting their feedback around particular problems, issues, etc. And it is unbelievable what comes out of that creation. And then the third area is a gift, a chance to show some appreciation or give a gift of value that might be your genius or something you can contribute back to the group.
Having the time for people to understand my business, and that really came out of in between the sessions that we had. So over lunches, over dinners.
More like a retreat and less like a workshop.
So we get out of the classroom, so to speak, and actually get to go out there into the real world.
Yesterday we did iFly, which is you jump in a huge wind tunnel tube and do indoor skydiving, which is pretty cool.
You're hovering in the air and whirling around, and
it was something that most of us were doing for the first time, so it was this shared awkward, uncomfortable, uncertain experience, and ultimately that brings people together, right? Our fears, our anxieties bring us together into the collective experience, and it allowed us to bond at a level that, again, you normally don't have, because most events don't have that type of experiential component, and I think Jay and Josh did an incredible job in thinking through that.
What I expected, you guys delivered way beyond expectations.
I trust Jay and Josh to cultivate only the best.
Jay has made this event not about him or about the facilitators. It's literally an event where everybody is exchanging information. It's very open, it's very free.
Jay and Josh are seamless.
Josh is focused on the technology piece, on the marketing piece, and Jay has 27 years of experience.
Understanding that business isn't just about use and be used, want 'em, got 'em, need 'em. It's also about who are we being in the world.
I mean, as much as we learned, we laughed, we connected.
All of life, all of business is really about relationships.
If you get an invitation to a JVology summit, it really is a gift, and you'd be foolish not to accept that gift.
It was the piece that my business was missing, and I cannot wait to come back to the next one.